Game day at Florida State, 25 consecutive winning seasons, a tradition of sportsmanship to larger-than-life heroes. And tonight, a new generation of campus stars leads fifth-ranked FSU into Doak to face Atlantic Coast Conference rival Duke. A beautiful evening for football. Welcome to Primetime Knowles and to Sunshine with Keith Jones. I'm Paul Kennedy. 3 games so far, all wins over Iowa State, Virginia, and Maryland. And Keith, now here comes 3 games in only 13 days. It begins tonight with Duke.
A key focus tonight, maybe get the starters in and get them out if you can so that you play other players, you rest players for this 3-game marathon over this less than 2 weeks.
Florida State got in and out of College Park, Maryland, facing the Terps and winning against the reigning ACC champions a week ago on a night in which the defense was awesome, forcing 6 turnovers and Rufus Brown with a key interception in that game.
Key interception and a forced fumble. You know, Rufus has really come on. You see the 7 tackles on the season, had 3 against Maryland. As we mentioned, the interception, the forced fumble, and that interception was just a great play. You'll see perfect corner play by Rufus. He steps right in an underthrown pass and gets what is almost the defensive back's dream, and that's getting into the end zone. Well, almost.
Nearly hurdled a turtle there. I think you can say that. A night of big plays offensively, too, and that had been, well, there had been a dearth of big plays. Had not been happening until the win over Maryland. Tallman Gardner appears now to be the go-to guy offensively.
He was certainly the go-to guy last year. 11 touchdown receptions last year. Only had 1 catch coming into the Maryland game. He certainly added to that, well over 100 yards in receptions. None bigger than this 56-yard touchdown reception from Chris Ricks. Nice throw, better catch, and then he skates on into the end zone.
Terrific. Out-muscle for the football. So tonight, it's up to Duke to try and slow him down, a Duke team which did not win a game a year ago, but finally broke the nation's longest losing streak of 23. On opening night, they upset East Carolina. They are anchored inside defensively tonight by a Florida native, a good linebacker in Ryan Fowler.
Fowler, your typical, stereotypical linebacker, 6'4", 235 pounds. You see his career tackles. He's got 33 coming into the night. He is a leader on that defense, and we always talk about the middle linebacker being the leader, Paul. He's also a captain, so his teammates have acknowledged his leadership.
Returning to his native state tonight, it's Duke and Florida State. An ideal evening, and our kickoff just ahead on Primetime Knowles. Florida State Football on Sunshine is brought to you by Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers, and by SunTrust. How can we help you? The threat of rain has disappeared. A gorgeous evening for college football tonight. Duke and Florida State as the Seminoles charge onto the field. The silver anniversary season as well, Keith, for Chief Osceola aboard Renegade, one of college football's grand traditions. And with this crowd and with the emotion here, more than 70,000 hoping that Florida State avoids any semblance of a letdown and rolls toward what would be its 4th win of the season, its 3rd in ACC play.
One of the things Coach Bowden talked about all week long is intensity and maintaining the intensity.
And as Chief Osceola gallops off, Duke comes on. And we go down to the field as well, and the 3rd member of our telecast team. Say hello once again to Tom Block.
Good evening to you, PK and KJ. Questions this week about Chris Ricks. You recall, go back to the 4th quarter of the Maryland game last week when Ricks was knocked out of the game on this particular pass play. Stayed down for some time. Chris said later he thought his shoulder was separated. Turned out it's a bruised shoulder, bruised elbow. Didn't miss any practice time this week. Not going to be a factor tonight. There was some controversy about, is Chris the #1 quarterback? Jeff Bowden had hinted that the backups were closing the gap a little bit. Bobby said Chris is still the clear-cut #1. But we will see the Kentucky Derby offense tonight, starting with the 2nd series for Florida State. That means Adrian McPherson and the 2nd team will go out for the 1st down play. Then Chris Ricks and the 1st teamers will come out for the 2nd down in the rest of the series. That's starting the 2nd time Florida State has the football. Guys, back up to you.
So Carl Franks, his love of alma mater brings him home to Duke 4 years ago, yet the Blue Devil alum has managed just 4 wins through very trying times. The long shadow of Steve Spurrier still evident. Carl on his staff for close to a decade, the University of Florida. And there is Bobby Bowden. A perfect 3-0 mark. Has never lost to Duke in ACC play. And of course, a year ago, 55-13 triumphing in Durham. Coming off a solid victory as well over the University of Maryland.
A game like this, Paul, maybe the toughest for a coach. I mean, when you're playing a huge rival or you're playing someone that you're an underdog to, much easier to get a team motivated and focused. But in a game in which Florida State is favored by over 40 points, you really find out the worth of your coaching staff, your head coach, coordinators, and segment coaches. How well do the kids respond to doing the things they need to do to get better, as opposed to playing down or up to whoever they're playing against?
Check out the average return for Tallman Gardner. He is joined by a freshman in Leon Washington on the far hash. Duke actually won the toss this evening and deferred Brent Garber. The ball cocked on the tee, puts his foot into it, and Leon Washington will have a return. Up to the 20, breaking a tackle, 25. Leon to the 27-yard line. That's a return of 24 yards. And Timo George, a defensive back, down to knock down the former Mr. Football in the state of Florida. So here comes, as Tom was telling us, the Kentucky Derby offense. Chris Ricks opens this first series, and we will see wholesale substitutions done, which gets everybody into the game early. Which is, again, one of the things that the coaching staff wants to accomplish, playing as many people as you can in games of this nature. Out of the gun, first snap. 4-man front. Ricks has it batted down, knocked away at the line of scrimmage. It had been Micah Harris that got his hands up. A quick look at Florida State's starters. Greg Jones seeking his 6th consecutive 100-yard rushing performance tonight. Torrance Washington, Keith, too, a freshman opens. First collegiate start for Torrance. And across the front line, an injury once again to Ray Willis to his shoulder means Alex Barron starts, and you see Antoine Marambo. You call him Mr. Steady? That's what I call him. He has just been absolutely flawless in his play at center. And he guns it back to Chris, who flips it out of the backfield. This is Nick Maddox out of a tackle, 37-yard line. Duke can ill afford to break tackles tonight. That's a gain of 10. Micah Harris, Matt Zielinski, Bob Binion starts for Demetrius Warwick, along with Sean Johnson. Harris with those 3 sacks. Look for him from his defensive end position. Jamian Small, the only senior for Duke, along with Fowler and DeAndre White, who's a freshman. And the secondary, Stanford, Smith, Green, and George, already with as many interceptions through 3 weeks as Duke managed all last year. Anquan Bolden ducks, spins, close to a first down to the dangerous junior. And he, too, like Fowler, a captain in his junior year for Florida State. For his work ethic. Of course, Anquan, as we all know, missed last year with that knee injury. Had a great 2000 season, over 40 catches, nearly 700 yards and receptions. Comes into the night, does Anquan as the #1 target of Chris Ricks. 13 catches for a little over 200 yards for number 4. Yeah, consecutive completions, and you see the Noles shift that offensive line. Tied into the far side of Patrick Hughes. 3 receivers set and driving with their opening possession near midfield. Ricks thinking big, going deep to Tallman Gardner. We showed you that play but moments ago. It worked at Maryland. This time they're using the wide side of the field. Chris throwing the ball well to his right, Talman's right, trying to lead him back to the sideline. Just slightly overthrown. One of the things you like to do when you've got speed like Talman is use that wide side to try to get space. Bolden was in the slot, Talman's to the outside. Ball's just slightly overthrown. You really like to get Talman in those one-on-one matchups. These corners for Duke, Paul, not terribly tall. George goes 5'9", Stanford's 5'9". Gardner goes a little over 6 foot. First carry tonight for Greg Jones and what he hopes will be a record-tying night as he stalks a 6th consecutive 100-yard rushing performance. He looks to be shy of the first down. But the record is held by 6, and it was the legendary Warwick Dunn, a member of the Florida State Hall of Fame, of course, who shattered just about every Seminole rushing mark.
And look at that average per carry for Greg, 6.1. Want to get the ball in his hands 22 times a ball game, and he'll do the work for you.
The last time Greg was on this field, 173 yards he laid on the Virginia Cavaliers. I didn't think he had it on the initial surge, but according to referee Courtney Mousy, our officiating crew and chain crew, that is a Seminole first down. One thing Duke is doing well against Bobby Bowden tonight is making the Noles go the long way early. Make them take 8, 9, 10 snaps going downfield if they are going to score.
Florida State has been very prolific in the first quarter and in the first half in putting points on the board, taking that initial kickoff and making things happen with it.
Yard shy of midfield. Greg Jones bounces it outside. Turns that into a 5-yard gain. Duke looked to have 7 or 8 in the box, and they'll be keying on him tonight. The stop here, Kenneth Stanford from the secondary.
Duke will have to mix it up, as you mentioned, putting 7 or 8 in the box to try to stop Jones and company. And Chris, with a little more flexibility, Chris Ricks, a little more flexibility, we've been told, at the line of scrimmage. We may see some checkoffs to some outlet passes and those types of things once he sees them stacked up there close.
Torrance Washington, the fullback in front of him in his first start. Look to lead the way. What about Washington tonight, who starts in place of the injured B.J. Dean as Greg loses his helmet there. Torrance from nearby Madison County, a highly touted freshman here for the Noles.
Well, Torrance not unaccustomed to playing in Doak Campbell. He led the Cowboys to the state championship last year in their level here at Doak Campbell. 6'1", 230 pounds. As you mentioned, B.J. Dean, another freshman, out, so Torrance getting his opportunity. Has just 4 rushes on this young season. They like the way he blocks, they like his work ethic, and as a freshman, he's really been able to pick up the offense.
Needing over a yard here. He leads the way for Greg Jones, and Duke is there. Initially, the initial hit was a good 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, but Greg is so strong that he fights forward and is very close to the first down marker once again. Orrin Thompson on the stop, and they'll bring the chains on. Our keys to the game this evening, Keith, as they spot the football for the measurement, as presented by BC Powder, and what you see.
Well, first of all, Florida State needs to start quickly. That is, take the football, score every time they get it early in the ball game. As we've talked about, you've got to maintain your intensity, and particularly in games that you're very much rated to win by big. And thirdly, on the defensive side, Florida State's got to stop the big play. Remember, last year Florida State fell down 6-0 to these Duke Blue Devils on a big play.
Robert Morgan will check in. It looks as if the Noles have signaled into jumbo set 2 tight ends, and need about a credit card in there, Keith, or a driver's license for the first down.
Maybe a calling card.
You think? 4th down for Florida State.
Offensively, Florida State 4 for 4 again in this young season, going for it on 4th down. A perfect 4 for 4.
Look at Duke stack the line of scrimmage. Quarterback sneak, first down for Ricks. And the drive stays alive. The 9th play of this opening possession for Florida State.
Watch this line surge. This is where you make first downs on quarterback sneaks. Before Ricks gets touched by a Blue Devil, he's about 1.5 yards past the original line of scrimmage. Tucked right in there between Antoine Montre and Todd. Now that goes, Paul, 300, 336, 325 between your 2 guards and center. I could probably sneak through there a little bit as well.
Yeah, and what is the average bench press? About 450, 450 in there. A small Volkswagen. First down. Drive stays alive. Boom! Greg Jones ran right over it. Down to the 23-yard line. Man is a beast. A gain of 15 yards.
You know, it's amazing with Greg racking up those consecutive gains of 100 yards. You know what his longest run from scrimmage is? 20 yards. So it's not like that he just completely runs over a would-be defender. It's not like Paulie, he's, you know, running off these 80-yard runs and then getting 2 and 3, 2 and 3, 2 and 3. Longest run for scrimmage from Grad, 20 yards.
Jamie and Small hit him at the line of scrimmage. And Greg kept right on motoring.
And Jamie Zappany's a senior. He doesn't have to do this anymore.
On the slant route, sliding at the 14-yard line. And a first down for Robert Morgan. A tough catch as his comeback continues into the 4th week of the season. He missed all of last year due to knee surgery.
And like Bolden, both Bolden and Morgan worked extremely hard last year and in the offseason this year to get back to playing shape, back to playing ways. Morgan has been a little bit hampered by drops last couple of ball games, Paul, and that's a great reception confidence builder for Robert.
Anquan Bolden, pardon me, to the bottom of your screen now. Second and short, and the ball spotted at the 14. Straight ahead, Greg Jones. Sean Johnson, the defensive end, number 96, in the mix there defensively for Duke. As Chris Ricks in this march has completed 3 out of 5, and Greg Jones on that carry, no gain there, but is a quarter of the way to 100 already with 25, and the Seminoles have taken better than 5 minutes off the play clock.
And going against a Duke defense that's greatly improved against the rush. I think they were 113th in the country last year. They're 54th this year. 54 is not good, Paul, but just a lot better than 113th.
It's all about perception, perspective. Greg Jones flipped up, upended Sean Johnson, cartwheeled him. Coming off a career best day. It's number 96. A week ago, 10 stops against Northwestern. Watch this.
Fights across the face of the block and then gets back inside underneath Greg. One of the ways to bring Greg down is to try to get him at the knees or below. Johnson goes 6'5", 265, as you mentioned, had a great outing last week. He's out of Fairport, New York, his first trip down to Florida State.
No gain, second down. Chris throws, Bolden catches at the 7 and is spun around and taken down. A good solid tackle. Deonto McCormick from that secondary. He's a true freshman. His first trip to Doak at the age of 18.
And he's not from too far from here, from Adel County, Cook County rather, Adel, Georgia.
How far drive is
About
that?
an hour up the road from Tallahassee.
Go through Thomasville to get there?
Go through Thomasville and take a right.
There you go. So he has, you can imagine, large contingent looking on this evening. It's third down now, and Duke trying to force Florida State to settle for a field goal try if they can get a stop. Ricks pressured, floats for the end zone, batted away, incomplete. Knocked down, and it'll be 4th down, and it's McCormick again, this time on Tallman Gardner.
Paul, the fans won't be happy with that effort. The coaching staff will be. Here's an opportunity for Chris Ricks as you see the twins to the left-hand side, in route, now route. Gardner just kind of settles out there. Chris had originally pulled this ball down, did Ricks, and wanted to run with it, and then he picked back the ball back up and tried to get it downfield. Florida State not converting for 6 points, but the coaching staff will be pleased with Chris's trying to get the ball downfield instead of tucking it and running.
This will be Samia Bethia from 24 yards out, and the kick is no good. No good. Bethia with only his 2nd miss suffered this season. The 15th play of the opening drive. Remember, Duke deferred, and now the Blue Devils will field the football for the first time after a long march turns up empty. Paul Kennedy, Keith Jones, Tom Block joining you this evening from Tallahassee in a surprise of 15-play march, Keith. And Sabiad misses from 24.
Galton is the holder, gets the ball down. He tilts it back to himself just a little bit. Watch him tilt it just a little bit. And Bethia just messes up and hits it straight instead of trying to ease that thing over to the left. The closer you get into the goalpost on the hash, either side, the more severe the angle and the more difficult the kick. And that time, Sabiad just drilled it straight right instead of bringing it back into the left.
Sophomore Adam Smith gets the nod this evening for Duke at quarterback. He's from Orinda, California. In motion, Centurio Landrum. First play thrown out to him. 25, 30-yard line. Close to the first down. Now this is Duke's lineup. Chris Douglas will not start tonight. A last-minute change. Alex Wade was the lone setback in the backfield. Douglas has ankle problems.
And Florida State doesn't want to see Douglas, as you see by those over 300 yards last year.
Landrum makes the catch. The offensive line captain, Drew Stroney, Darrell Lewis. Luke Bayer is from Gainesville, Florida, the center. Rusty Wilson, Christian Mitchell. Tackle to tackle. Second down, needing one. And popping through, there goes Alex Wade. He busts it to the 50. Wade still running down to the Seminole 30-yard line. Running back Alex Wade gallops across midfield and races 31 yards. What a stunning start tonight. Make it 41 for the first down. First the field goal miss, and now this.
Well, they list him at 250 pounds, do they, Wade? At 6'1", 250. He runs like he's about 210. Carl Frank's very happy with the effort by the junior all season long, and particularly on that play.
He remains the lone setback on first down. Stood up at the line of scrimmage. Darnell Dockett, as you see, getting off that pile. Florida State up front. Kevin Emanuel, Darnell Dockett, Jeff Womble, and Alonzo Jackson, the senior from Americus, Georgia. In the linebacking core, a major change in the middle. Captain Jarrell Hudson not starting tonight. Alan Augustin takes his place in the secondary, offering Samuels, Carter Hall, and Rufus Brown. After the gain of one, Zach Novak checks in as an H-back. On the draw away. Met as he crosses the line of scrimmage. And right. Alan Augustin may have been in there. Alonzo Jackson, too, for FSU. There's Alonzo Jackson, whose father, Eddie, is watching nearby Doak Campbell Stadium this evening, and a major inspiration for him.
Big hello to Eddie. Gets down here as much as he can from Augusta, Georgia. Americus, Georgia, rather. And loves to watch Zoe play on Doak Campbell's turf.
Third down and 7. They'll keep it on the ground, and nothing doing there this time. Dockett. Watch where they spot that ball. If they move the line of scrimmage back, they do. That's a tackle for a loss for Darnell Dockett, the 43rd of his career.
Ron Simmons holds that career record at Florida State with 44, so Darnell just one away from tying, 2 away from breaking.
Field goal kicker Brent Garber, a 41-yard try, and the Noles are forced to call timeout. They had too many men on the field, and Patrick Newton was sprinting to the Seminole sideline requesting the timeout. Timeout FSU. Duke threatening against Mickey's defense here in our first quarter. Defensive coordinator Mickey Andrews along with Joe Kynes calling timeout early in our first quarter. Down to the field quickly, Tom.
Happened, Paul, as Jerome Carter was late getting on the field. By the time he got out there, Pat Newton was late getting off the field, and had Duke snapped that ball, but without Florida State taking a timeout, it would have resulted in a first down for Duke there. So Pat Newton's the one who called the timeout, but I believe it was Jerome Carter's fault. He was late getting out there.
All righty, Tom, and now this will be a 46-yard try. Garber hit a 56-yard field goal in the win over East Carolina. A high snap, another block for the Seminoles. Their third block field goal this year, and they have made a habit of blocking kicks against Duke.
And again, it came from right up the middle, Paul. Somebody elevating unbelievably up the middle, gets their hand on it. We've seen B.J. Ward do that a couple of times already this year, and I think we're going to see B.J. do it again. Watch 24. Right up the middle, number 24.
His third block field goal in 4 games this year. For B.J. Ward, he elevates such tremendous vertical lift. This is his third block field goal of the season.
And all this on a MCL sprain. He's not seeing much time on defense, but he does get time on specialty teams. Goes way up in the air with that arm one more time. And Florida State has just made a killing against the Duke special teams. This is last year, Jerome Carter with a right-hand block and a left-hand touchdown. And right behind that, Kyler Hall gets a hold of this one. Both of them freshmen last year. Florida State recovers it for another touchdown.
Duke had actually led in that football game 6-0 before Florida State special teams were just that, very special. Now Adrian McPherson and the Kentucky Derby offense. The entire unit comes on and the crowd recognizing it here at Doak. And they're off, they say.
Florida State in their rifle set, 4 wide receivers, 1 back.
And they'll keep it on the ground. And this will be the freshman Willie Reed, close to the 30-yard line. One play for the redshirt freshman from Kathleen, DeAndre White, linebacker over there. And now the entire unit will leave the field, and here will come the starting offense after a gain of 9.
And if you ask why do you do this, the reason is to get playing time for the twos, the second team offense. They're involved. They're not sitting over on the sidelines, not paying attention. Every series, every other series, they know they're going to get in. It keeps their attention span, creates a little bit of competition, and the kids love it.
Chris Ricks with 4 completions so far, make it 5. This to Anquan Bolden, who gets a block from Tallman Gardner, and that's a first down. In front of defensive coordinator Ted Roof for Duke, a gain of 11. So if you're Carl Franks, the head coach of Duke, or Ted Roof as defensive coordinator, how do you react to the platoon system here?
You ignore it. It has no bearing on how you run your defense, because Florida State's going to run the same offense regardless of which unit it is. So don't let it be a distraction. Roof will tell his kids just ignore it. It's the same group lining up in the same way. They just got different numbers on first play of the series.
A gain of 10, 19 and 2 snaps. Ricks again in the flat. And a rare reception for Greg Jones. Not normally a pass catcher. Jamian Small, the linebacker, slides over to belt him down. It's only his 6th of the year, and there is Jamian Small. I guess graduating day at Duke won't take very long for the football class of 2003.
The underclassmen will not have to spend a lot of time saying goodbye.
One picture for the head coach. Graduation comes, but what he has seen in weathering 2 very harsh years for Duke, and now much more competitive this season. We've seen that so far. Ricks, the deep out, snared by Crowthorpe at the 35.
And this is a great pass. You can see Chris Ricks lining this thing up, knowing exactly where he wanted to go with it. And this is a great throw and a great catch. It's going to come right at you. It's going to fake, looking right at Crowthorpe the entire. Watch him step and throw. Knows right where he wants to go with it. Crow with a nice, always catching that ball. I learned this. I never could do it, Paul, but always catching that ball with your thumbs in. Your thumbs are always facing each other when you catch the ball, and that's a great reception by Crowthorpe.
Chris is sizzling this evening. First grab as well to Crowthorpe. He kept those thumbs in to earn 19 on the play. Quick hitch, and now rolling. Give and go, floating, and just over the outstretched arms of PK Sam. And Chris certainly is moving the ball around. We see Crowthorpe here, PK Sam, Robert Morgan with the catch already in this game, Anquan Bolden, and he's thrown to Greg Jones.
He'll spread it around, and as like we did for Florida State, we can look at the things that Duke needs to do in order to be successful tonight, and one of them is not let the big play get behind them.
5 receivers in all, and that's very admirable for Duke, and we'll talk more about Ted Roof and the defensive philosophy that he's inserted here as we near the later moments of our opening quarter. Play action. Again, the out route. Caught again. Much more sharply for PK this time. His first grab in front of Stanford, the corner.
Well, if there's any doubt about whether that bruised shoulder and that bruised arm of Chris Ricks was going to hamper his play tonight, I think that has been dispelled. Again, play action, a nice throw. Again, receivers with their hands, thumbs in. Great reception. Florida State with another first down.
And Chris nearing 100 yards here in the first quarter. Shaping up, isn't it, offensively? At least between the 10-yard lines is a huge night for Chris. Out of the I set now with PJ Selvideo, the fullback. Play action for the end zone. Bolden just could not get there.
This is certainly one that Chris would like to have back. What a great move by Anquan that time. Completely turned the corner around, and Chris would like to have that one back and just kind of laid it in there instead of trying to throw it too much on a line. One of the things that Anquan Boldin and both he and Robert Morgan do is you see Jeff Bowden there, receivers coach and offensive coordinator, Paul, as they run very precise routes. That one just misfired just a little.
Second down. Want the draw to stall if you're Florida State. Deep here. And Greg Jones, great balance to use his offhand and work his way to the 10-yard line. What balance on that 250 pounds over a 6'1" frame.
Well, they call him Thunder. This time we're going to have to call him Baryshnikov. A little ballet action right here. 1-2, third hit, gets right over his own player, puts that hand down. 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 hats on him before he's brought down. 35 yards on those 8 touches.
Keith, we have 3+ to go here in the first quarter. And Florida State takes a step back and will take its second timeout of the opening quarter in this game. One of the big stories tonight for Chris and for this offense is Greg Jones chasing Warwick Dunn's mark, which has stood since 1995 of 6 consecutive 100-yard games. And there is Greg over to get a long drink of water. And you know, the all-time single season rushing mark is just over 1,200 yards, and Greg nearing 500 has a great shot of that.
Well, he really does for a couple of reasons. Number one, his pure athletic ability and that great offensive line in front of him. Second of all, you've got 13 regular season games this year. You don't want to diminish any accomplishments that Greg may have should he get to the single season rushing record. But he's certainly going to get a number of opportunities. And as we talked about, they want to get the ball in his hands. Billy Sexton there on the right with the headsets on just out of your frame. Want to get the ball in Greg's hands 22 times a game and just let him work his magic.
Now, how does that go over with the receiver corps? I mean, this is a team sport, but you have remarkable talent in Anquan Boldin, Tallman Gardner, Robert Morgan, and only one football to go around.
Well, that's one of the beauties of this Florida State family. There is a great deal of camaraderie, a lack of selfishness, very much wanting to play for the team. And I tell you, these are the same kids, Paul, that went 8-4 last year. And so if you're a receiver and a 4th or 5th receiver and you're going to catch 15 balls instead of 25, but you're going to be able to win a few more ball games, you'll trade it.
And earn a ring. All right, third down, possession snap coming off the timeout, needing to reach the 7-yard line. Ricks is in trouble. Taken down, sacked back at the 20. Sean Johnson again, who's been stellar in the opening quarter, with a sack on Chris Ricks, and the field goal unit comes on.
Well, we talked about him previously. A little bit of a stunt by Duke up front. They bring the guys on the right all the way across to the left, the guys on the left to the right. Johnson right there will not let Chris Ricks make containment, ends up with a sack, forces Florida State to attempt for 3.
Now this will be a 37-yard field goal from Xavier Bethia, who missed from 24. First possession. This is away, and the Noles are on the board. Xavier Bethia majors in business, and he is just that, all business on the football field. Very focused young man, and immediately atones for that earlier miss from 37.
See, congratulations there by coaching staff, managers, etc. The other thing they like about Xavier coming into the season, Paul, there was questions about kickoffs. And Xavier just continued to work his way, and not maybe the strongest leg of the kicking core, but much more accurate, and they really like how he handles the kickoff functions now.
10 plays, 58 yards, and the Duke keys to the game as presented by BC Powder. For Duke, forced turnovers, and I think your second line there, Keith, win the kicking game. They've gotten off to a good start there.
Well, other than they've had that one field goal block, and the biggest thing Duke can do is that third one offensively. We call it 3 and out, no 3 and outs. That's where the offense takes the ball, runs 3 plays, and punts. We've seen Nito Tame punt so far, and that's a big key for Duke, trying to keep that Florida State offense on the sidelines and tire out the Florida State defense.
Now, Florida State has scored at least 44 points in all 10 games against Duke since the Noles joined the ACC. Their lowest margin of victory was 24 points. for this just to be a 3-0 game, even though Duke is trailing at the end of the first quarter, they got to be loving this.
Without a doubt.
End over end. And they'll reverse it to the far side, coming around for Duke. And Santario Landrum to the 45. And a flag down on the return of 46.
Flag down, not a bad stick by Xavier. Of course, you don't like your kicker having to make tackles on kickoffs, but he'll earn a few brownie points from his teammates. Great return is going to be nullified for the Duke Blue Devils, and Carl Franks and company are going to have to start maybe inside their 10, or at least close to it.
Well, the block kick that you mentioned, and now this. Not good.
Not good.
In the kicking game. Courtney Mousy. Clip against Duke. And our first penalty infraction of the night.
Another look at a little trickery right here. It really didn't fool anybody, but Duke's going to do a little bit of a reverse. Flag's going to come back in the back right-hand side. You can't see it. Nice little return. And then watch Xavier at the end here. That's a little stick. Defensive players will enjoy that.
In the film room tomorrow,
they'll get a few high fives.
The ball, the 8-yard line. Adam Smith pumps once, throws up the far boundary, and he overshoots his intended target on the far side. And Reggie Love, the junior from Charlotte, North Carolina.
And if you recognize that name, yes, that's the same Reggie Love that played on the basketball team for Mike Krzyzewski the last 3 years. He will not participate, we're told, in basketball this year, but he's won a couple of ACC championships, and he's got a national championship ring, does Reggie.
The largest college marching band is about 20 yards behind that Duke offense. Marching Chiefs wailing away. Ronnie Elliott on the end around, up close to the 20-yard line. Another 18-year young freshman from Huntsville, Alabama.
Runs out of the wide receiver position, does Ronnie. He's 5'9", 170. Had one prior rush. Oh, only 51 yards. So you know they want to get the ball in the hands of that young freshman.
Speed to burn, and now needing a couple of yards with a clap of the hands. Here comes Duke. Biggest key tonight, if you're Duke, make first downs. That is a first down on the catch to Zach Novak to the 25-26 yard line. Fullback in the flat worked somewhat for Maryland a week ago.
That it did. And of course, these coaching staffs will look at what was successful in weeks prior. Novak hasn't touched the football the entire year. Goes right to the outside, just a little flick by Smith to Novak, and Duke is successful in converting that first down from under the shadows of their own goalpost.
Yeah, they begin at the 8-yard line. They have the marching Chiefs ringing in their ear. They come from the 8. They're up across the 25 to the 26. Less than 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. And they'll hit it up inside, and Alex Wade is able to break it again to the 40-yard line. I'll pick up of 14 yards for Wade.
Well, we talked about Greg Jones. He's second in the conference in rushing. Guess who's number three? Number 37. Averages nearly 86 yards per game, does Wade. And here's part of the reason why. He goes right through that little crease at the point of attack. And Kyler Hall, known for his hitting, comes up, but that's a 240, 250-pound frame that Kyler's going up against. And that time, Alex got the better of it.
An average gain of better than 11 yards. Again in the flat, and close to another first down for Duke. Is working the flat this time. Andy Rowland, a freshman from West Lawn, Pennsylvania, in front of Michael Boulware. He is Duke's leading receiver on the season. That's his 7th catch of the year in his first year of intercollegiate play.
Those are his numbers coming into this evening's ball game. I like that 16-yard average per reception out of your tight end. He's 6'4", 225, as you mentioned, just a freshman.
On first down. Wade on the draw. Spins inside the 45 to the 44-yard line. Robert May in on the tackle. Jerome Carter, the rover back, as well. There is Jerome. Sophomore from Lake City. Second leading tackler this year for FSU.
Saw him with that big punt block and touchdown against Duke last year in the opening game of the 2001 season. Now having a chance to start and see considerable playing time at the rover position in Mickey Andrews secondary.
Just half a minute remaining in the opening quarter tonight. Xavier Bethia, our only point so far. Kalen Powell was running open at the Knoll 25-yard line, and Adam Smith just misses the Duke tight end. Down to the field, and here's Tom.
PK, one of the reasons Duke has moved the football up to this point, the first team defensive line really wasn't in until just prior to that pass play. Instead, it was Roderick Bunkley and Tony Benford and some other guys in there. But as soon as Duke crossed the 50 and started marching, Darnell Dockett, Pig Womble, Lonzo Jackson, those guys got back up front for Mickey's defense.
And that offensive line, Tom, they're facing, has played every snap this year for Duke, trying to build experience. Now against the blitz, they call the perfect play and do hit the tight end in Kalen Powell. He's all the way down to the 20-yard line. They let that first unit offensive line come, or defensive line come blowing in and hit Powell on the screen.
You've really got to like the offensive scheme for Duke. They've really utilized the underneath passes, crossing patterns. That's the way to attack a very aggressive defense like Florida State's. Misdirection, using the tight end on crossing, using the backs out of the backfield. We've seen the reverse rollouts, the old waggles as we used to call them. And Florida State right now a little bit reeling from this Duke scheme.
Certainly is, and Wade. A tough couple of yards. That may be the final play of this first quarter, and considering the fact in some circles Duke was as much as a 40-point underdog, they have played Florida State pretty much on even terms through our first 15 minutes tonight in the home of the 5th-ranked FSU Seminoles. Give Carl Franks and Duke some credit facing Bobby Bowden. Doak Campbell Stadium on a gorgeous Saturday night for Seminole football. And Florida State leads, but by a field goal. Xavier Bethia from 37, our only point so far. And what is a major surprise for that gentleman, stalking his 327th career win. Bobby Bowden. With Keith Jones and Tom Black, I'm Paul Kennedy. We head to our second quarter of play. A sterling game plan thus far by Bobby's counterpart in Carl Franks, who serves as Duke's offensive coordinator. And statistically speaking, here's what he's been able to do. I mean, just about even terms in terms of the numbers with FSU.
And you've got to be pleased, as Carl, with the amount of time that his offense has been able to control the football. And again, repeating the oft-said phrase, when you have the football, they don't. And if they don't have the football, they can't score.
126 total yards for Duke in the first quarter, quarterbacked by that man. And Adam Smith. Average gain per play, are you kidding me?
Got to be happy with 9. Behind on the scoreboard, but winning statistically.
Second down as we open the second quarter. Seminole 17-yard line, out of the gun. The sophomore Adam Smith. He'll keep it on the ground. A bit of a hole here. Wade is worked over. B.J. Ward comes in to finish him off after Kendall Pope had popped in first.
Duke spreading out this Florida State defense. They had trips to the offense's right-hand side. It would be the lower part of your screen. 3 wide receivers. Florida State, Kendall Pope and company having to respect that, move people out. There you see Kendall's numbers coming into tonight.
Kevin Emanuel back in. Tonight, Smith. 4 completions in the first half, better than 50 yards, and facing here a possession snap in field goal range at the 13. 4-man rush. Wade is close to the first down.
And again, you see Duke going with that trip set, this time to the top of your screen, the left-hand side. And again, right now, just using it for decoy, forcing Florida State to move people out of the box, open it up running room for Alex Wade.
That'll be his 9th carry of the evening. We're just underway in quarter number 2. And the running back coach, Fred Chatham, there, the senior member of this Duke staff in his 14th year. And Aubrey Hill to his left.
Familiar name? Familiar name?
Former Florida wide receiver. A great career in Gainesville. How about those Gators today, Keith?
Unbelievable. I was one of the ones thinking, gosh, it could certainly get ugly up in Knoxville, and it did, but
sure
to Florida's favor.
What does that say about Miami, who Florida State faces on the backside of this 3-game and 13-day stretch?
I don't want to think about it.
Yeah. A first down, 1st and goal for Duke. Florida State has not trailed this season. Smith overshoots Reggie Love in the back of the end zone. Stanford Samuels all over it defensively.
Well, again, that's the matchup you like if you're Duke. Samuels is 5'10". Reggie Love goes 6'4". Great leaping ability. Gets an inside move. And the way that ball needed to be thrown, the only way that Samuels would have gotten beat is to Smith had led that ball back to the inside. He threw that ball down the field too far. Should have led Love back into the middle of the field and had a better chance of completion.
He's got Lance Johnson and Love to the top of your screen on 2nd down. There goes Landrum. Give is on the inside to Wade, who's able to battle to the 5-yard line. And suddenly it's 3rd down. Kyler Hall up from the secondary, and may have caught a stinger. To go into the teeth of Florida State's rugged defense, you're going to pay a heck of a price.
Well, and Duke very smartly running right at Florida State. This is not a defense, as you see Kynes on the left, Joe Kynes, Mickey Andrews on the right. This Florida State defense with their quickness and speed, not a defense that you can run laterally on. You've got to run right at them. And Florida State, as has been the case in the first 3 games, not tackling well.
How about tonight? 3 out of 4. Down the line for Adam Smith. He throws on the run and too far for Landrum. And the field goal unit will have to come on.
You see B.J. Ward right there. That was busted coverage. Smith just missed his intended receiver, Landrum, or it would have been 6 for the Blue Devils. Confusion in the Florida State secondary due to the motion. Once the motion come out, and everybody sucks inside. Look how wide open Landrum is. He just is missed by Adam Smith.
This will be spotted as a 23-yard try by Brent Garber, the junior. The kick is away. He had one blocked earlier. He has now tied the game early in the 2nd quarter. Junior Brent Garber able to salvage 3 out of Duke, which is playing exceptionally well on the road tonight in Tallahassee. Florida State football on Sunshine is brought to you in part by Bill's Bookstore. For the best selection of Seminole fashions and gifts, order online at billsbookstore.com. A surprising score, to say the least. Brent Garber's field goal has knotted us at 3-all as Duke marches 86 yards in 15 plays. Offensively tonight, without their star Chris Douglas in the backfield, out with ankle problems, and instead Alex Wade and Zach Novak have teamed up to take up the slack for the Blue Devils.
They really have, and Wade in particular. Of course, we knew he was their leading rusher coming into the ball game, and number 3 in the ACC, but he's really shown us something. He's just for Florida State in a little bit unfamiliar territory, and that's being tied and receiving a kickoff.
Brent Garber, who just knocked home a 23-yard field goal, a prolonged, sustained march against one of the best defenses in the nation.
And it's exactly what you want to have if you're a Duke Blue Devil fan.
Leon Washington, Profonso Thorpe. Here comes Crowman. Crow to the 20-yard line. 30. To the 39. A 38-yard return. Here again is time.
talked about Chris Douglas not being out there for Duke, and he really has been a factor the last 2 times the Devils have played Florida State. As a freshman, he had a big touchdown run. There is Chris now. He's got a nagging ankle problem, and he's got a brace on his right ankle. He re-injured it last week. This is what he did last year, a 78-yard catch and run, over 300 all-purpose yards. So they're doing this with Wade and without Douglas.
Douglas watches. We all do. As we welcome our 3rd quarterback of the night for Florida State. This is Fabian Walker, who throws it to the flat on the near side and wrapped up and taken down for FSU. That'll be Travis Smith, newly promoted to scholarship status for the Seminoles.
Hard-working walk-on is Smith. You see Fabian Walker. Those are his numbers from last week, a perfect 39-yard strike, and you get a big smile on his face. I'm telling you, the kids, Paul, love this Kentucky Derby offense because it keeps them involved in the game, gets them in the game, really helps the old esprit de corps.
Ricks puts some air under that, and he overshoots Robert Morgan, who was, it looked as if he had the inside position, although facing double coverage with Kenneth Stanford on the back of him. Incomplete. It's been a more difficult return to health for Robert Morgan. He has a catch earlier than perhaps he had anticipated. You know, the big bruised chest in his last game here on the wicked hit coming over the middle. Dropped a couple of balls.
Has had some drops, but no one works harder at trying to make himself better every day than Robert Morgan. You see his updated numbers, not where he would like them to be, but that won't affect his work ethic. That will not affect his attitude. Very well respected.
On the offense, 15 yards, previous spot, repeat, 2nd down.
You would think this is Halloween, as peculiar as this evening has been, this final Saturday of the summer. An offensive face mask is the call against Florida State by Courtney Mousy, this Atlantic Coast Conference referee and crew.
Well, I said in the opening on our keys to victory, Florida State needed to maintain its intensity. I'm going to go back and ask our graphics folks to change that. They need to get some intensity.
Bobby Bowden wearing out the grass, pacing up and down. This offense pushed back its first penalty to the 29. Ricks in business. Steps up and Bolden dives. A sensational layout grab near midfield.
Boy, what a catch. What a nice catch. It's the same exact pattern they ran the time before. Morgan at the bottom of your screen, the left-hand side, had run a same post pattern. This time a corner route by Anquan. Watch him get his hands out and bring that ball into him. That's a great, great effort by Anquan Bolden.
The 6th receiver catch a pass tonight, earns 18. Catch of the night so far in the nose. Trap the middle. Working off the left side and into that Seminole logo. The first carry tonight for the freshman Torrance Washington, who earned 2 championship rings from Madison County.
You see his shirt tail out right there. That's exactly how I remember him in the high school championship game, because so many people, so many people try to grab him and everything. He's so strong that that shirt tail loses its place.
It's a lot of shirt tail to grab, too. He's a big man at 230 pounds, and just a freshman.
Look at him loaded up in the box.
8 helmets there. Ricks sacked once. Look out, sacked twice. At the 48-yard line. Down goes Chris. A 2nd sack tonight. Both belong to Sean Johnson.
Looked like Chris had tried to check off at the line of scrimmage, wanted to throw to his right on a quick slant. It wasn't open. And you see some of his strength as gets wrapped up by Johnson down around the ankles, but still stays upright looking downfield. But just too many Devils in there. As we mentioned right before the snap, they'd really loaded the box up. Chris tried to get the ball outside, wasn't open, and Blue Devils force a sack.
That was Giuseppe Aguano, number 13, who came flying in to polish him off. Now just a 3-man rush. And Ricks with a lot of time, and it's broken up, incomplete. A big hit by Alex Green, and now a flag. And Duke won't like that at all.
The Duke secondary, Paul, that between the defensive unit, 7 interceptions, 6 of them by the defensive backs. That time Fowler will get flagged for being there just a little bit early.
Pass interference on the defense. That's a spot foul. first down.
But every one of the 4 starting defensive backs with at least 1 interception. Bolden with a little button hook right there. Fowler gets in just a little bit. Well,
you played the position. That's
maybe
strong.
just, you know, that's just a little bit early, maybe, but very close to being a great play by Fowler.
You'd throw a flag?
I would not have thrown a flag.
I wouldn't have thrown a flag either. Tough break for Duke. For Florida State, a fresh set of downs. The Duke 45. Now can Chris take advantage? Indeed he can. One play. And they're at the 27-yard line. PK Sam from Chris Ricks in front of Kenneth Stanford. A gain of 17. And the gains come tonight, when they do come, in chunks. 17, 18, 19, 20 yards.
Duke's very lucky, too, because Stanford actually fell down on this route. Watch him lose his traction. He goes down and is able to right himself and get up in time to make the tackle. Otherwise, PK would have spun around and been down that sideline.
Chris again to throw. He's already completed 10 passes tonight for 121 yards. Still got a good ways to go in our second quarter. Duke gets back. Ricks.
Look at the protection.
Off he goes to the 20. He runs better than a 4.5, doesn't he? He takes off. I don't know if that equates to football speed, but he can dart and dash.
He's very elusive. Of course, the last 3 ball games, all the topic has been he's been wanting to run, has Chris, a little too early. A lot of emphasis in the last couple of weeks to get him to look at this secondary or even his outlet receivers, as opposed to looking at his primary receiver and just pulling it down and taking off. And he's really improved in that.
He threw 2 passes for touchdowns at Maryland, scored one himself. Accounted for 3. Here's Nick Maddox, the North Carolina native. First down, 14-yard line. Kenneth Stanford again over to make the stop. Nick Maddox, a year ago, a native of Kannapolis, North Carolina, scored twice at Duke's expense on his return to his native state.
I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. Right before we broke to the defensive side, you saw Nick putting his glove back on. I don't know that I've ever seen a running back lose their glove during a run. None of them, by the way, take that strap and pull it over. That's just not cool.
That's not done.
That's not cool.
Well, Namath played with his chin strap unsnapped, so.
Stack in the box.
Back in the day now. Ricks throws the quick slant. He's got a touchdown. To Robert Morgan. "14 yards, and Florida State is back in front."
Great adjustment by Chris Ricks and Robert Morgan. As we mentioned, the Duke was stacking the box. Immediately, Chris checked off, we think, and went to that quick slant. Great read by both parties.
Savia Bethia on to have the point after. Chris Ricks with his 5th touchdown pass of the season. The 29th of his still young career, just a sophomore, and it's Florida State 10-3 in ACC play tonight here at Doak. Chris Ricks to Robert Morgan for the first time in their careers, teaming up, and Florida State now leads by a touchdown.
Here's what it looks up from up high and behind. We think Ricks checked off, and then a great route, great execution. Another look at the route by Morgan. The old slant route, pushes it a little outside, breaks it back inside, and makes it look all too easy.
Ronnie Elliott starts off his goal line. The freshman from Alabama ran into his own man and Malcolm Tatum. Pinball, the 12-yard line, and Leon Washington was in there. Welcome to the ACC and a major college football. Ronnie Elliott. Adam Smith has played solid football in the first half for Duke.
He has not done the things to get them beat. Duke with a very innovative game plan coming in, a lot of misdirection, crossing patterns. They've used motion very effectively.
Ball control tonight, somewhat misleading, because Duke is hung in there. Landrum on the move. Wade even though you know he's going to get the call. With Chris Douglas, as Tom told us earlier, shelled for this evening. Wade carries here for the 11th time in the first half, and he has over 80 yards, and unfortunately a Seminole is shaken with 8.5 to play in the first half.
Not sure. It looked like it might have been Alonzo Jackson, attended to there by the training staff at Florida State.
The medical staff is on to look at him.
That is Alonzo. That's Randy Orovitz, the trainer there to your right. You're going to roll him over. It's Doug Henderson there with the salt and pepper hair that used to be dark when I got here. I think Jackson actually got rolled up by his own teammate. He works from the right-hand side on a little bit of a stunt, and he actually rolls up Emmanuel and gets kicked right in the lower back in the kidney area by number 90, Kevin Emmanuel. Florida State with a little twist up front. You see him with that hand there on that left side, back in the back part and the kidney part. Out of Americus. I tried to say he was from Macon earlier. I apologize, Alonzo. Out of Americus.
His father looking on tonight, not healthy enough to come to the stadium, battling cancer, but he comes to town and stays in Alonzo's apartment. Watches tonight. It looks as if your son is just fine, Eddie. The Noles ripping at the football. You saw Eric Powell, who checks in for Alonzo Jackson, trying to strip the ball free.
A lot more attention given to that than candidly I even like. I think that might be part of the problem Florida State has in tackling sometimes. Just square your bonnet up and put it on the ball carrier, and if you get it on the ball, it'll pop out, guys. Pig Womble, number 91 in there. Darnell Dockett.
Is Pig aptly named when you look at him?
Well, I call him Mr. Womble when I see him, but from the distance I'm at now, I can call him Pig.
Third down. On the roll. Throws in and out of the hands. 28-yard line of Landrum. Centerio, whose dad was Cedric Landrum. You may remember him, major league performer for Chicago Cubs, New York Mets. Could make this grab, and off they go for Carl Franks, and his punting unit is on for the first time. And recall last year, Trey McDonald had not one, but two blocked, and both turned into immediate Florida State touchdowns. So there is understandable trepidation on Frank's part. Kicks away, and Leon lets it roll to the 31-yard line. Kind of darned if you do, darned if you don't, and trying to pick up a bounding ball. Florida State has the football right back, leading by a touchdown with just over 7 minutes to go in our first hit. Florida State football on Sunshine is brought to you by BC Powder. For fast relief, try BC Powder. Nothing works faster than BC. That's Duke defensive coordinator Ted Roof in his first year at Duke, former Georgia Tech defensive coordinator and all ACC linebacker. What a stellar game plan this evening. They jump. Number 96, John Johnson. Ted will not like that. The man with 2 sacks, number 96, jumped. Quick snap. That'll cost him 5. And I think Duke is very fortunate that they lucked in, to be honest with you. They lucked into Ted Roof.
Without a doubt. He was on the staff.
On the defense. 5 yards. Still first down.
With Joe Leary at Georgia Tech, George is named to the Notre Dame post, takes Ted with him, and literally within a day, Ted's unemployed.
And instead of being the defensive coordinator this year at South Bend, Indiana, Notre Dame, he's here for Duke. And his defense has played well. They put pressure consistently on Chris, as they do now. He is flush. Good speed to the corner, and a first down and a late hit. And there's the flag. Justin Kitchen, the linebacker, hammers him about a yard over the sideline. This is the defense in the first quarter. Couple of sacks out of Sean Johnson.
Florida State offense that had given up 7 in 3 games. Duke with 2 here in the first half.
And now this late hit that'll cost him 15.
And there's no doubt about the call. Kitchen, just a freshman out of Charlotte. Certainly not intentional or malicious, but will evoke the ire of the Florida State coaching staff.
I'll tell you, there have been two huge calls now in this quarter, both to go against Duke. That call there, obvious, an infraction, and the pass interference call. Kept the first drive alive, set up the go-ahead touchdown. Nice solid shot by Bob Benyon on the freshman running back Willie Reed. Bob Benyon not slated to start tonight. Demetrius Warwick, it's a bad ankle, injured last week. Hard-fought loss at Northwestern, could not go, so Benyon gets the nod just prior to kickoff.
One of nearly, 40 freshmen, both true freshmen and redshirt freshmen on this Duke Blue Devil team.
Yeah, he's a true freshman, and when you say freshman at Duke, the probabilities are they're right out of high school. I mean, he being Carl Franks, he's playing what he's got. And the kids are all right tonight. With 6.5 to go in the first half. Playing the number 5 ranked Seminole. Wide open. Tommen Gardner, a juke to the 15, to the 13-yard line. First down, FSU. There's another big play for you, KJ. The longest of the night for FSU, 32 yards.
Duke sitting back there in that 2 deep. Got a corner underneath, a safety over the top. Corner route will be open all day long. What a nicely thrown ball by Chris Ricks. And watch the little move here by Talman. Picks up another 7-8 yards.
Talman Gardner with the grab there. I believe that's his first tonight.
Notice too, Florida State much more efficient, Paul, getting plays in and out of the huddle.
12 completions to 6 receivers and a touchdown here to Talman Gardner. Two plays after the late hit. Ricks for 6.
Same route that Robert Morgan scored on the drive earlier. Just a little farther out for Talman.
And Samia Bethia again out of the hold of Chance Gwaltney. Will push the score to 17-3, which he does. 6:12 to go. Chris Ricks has just hurled the 30th touchdown pass of his sophomore career, the second tonight. One to Morgan. And now this one to Talman Gardner. And Florida State is in command, 17-3.
Right-hand side, good blocking up front. Duke sitting back. Just in between, in front of the corner, over the linebacker is Talman Gardner on the slant route. Bolden goes out, Gardner goes in. Combination route, as they call it. Nice delivery catch, 6 points.
Spreading the wealth is FSU, and now this rounds into what had been its predictable form. We're near halftime. Talman Gardner, his second touchdown in as many weeks.
Talman there with chaplain Clint Purvis. Absolutely connected to this football team in ways that sometimes none of us even understand. Clint Purvis. See Wyatt Sexton there on the bench, Billy's son.
Samia Bethia, very active first half. And the marching Chiefs, who've never lost a halftime, ready to entertain that intermission. We'll have highlights for you. A feature too on Greg Jones, hosted by Tom Block. All that but minutes away. Ronnie Elliott, 5 yards into his own end zone, has no choice but to down it on one knee. Let's go down to the field and Tom.
Guys, earlier this year, one of the most memorable nights, perhaps the most memorable night in Florida State basketball history. January 6th against Duke, the #1 Blue Devils come to town. Florida State has the lead. Jason Williams can't hit. Mike Dunleavy can't hit. And Florida State shocks the #1 team in the country. First time they ever defeated a #1 team in basketball. Everybody stormed the court. Truly memorable night back on January 6th. Duke, of course, trying to spring the upset the opposite way on the football field tonight. And they've hung tough against this Seminole team.
Mike Krzyzewski and the basketball Blue Devils start practice, get this, in 8 days, because they're going prior to the start of the season
across the pond.
Yeah, to England. They're going to play 5 games in 3 nights. Do the math on that. Kind of like baseball, double headers in 5 games in 3 days.
Well, you know, the Brits do things a little differently.
But here's basketball in the air once again, and of course Leonard Hamilton embark upon his first season at Florida State in that glistening show palace, the Basketball Operations Center at the Leon County Civic Center.
And we talk about how this Florida State football staff works hard and the players work hard during practice. Let me tell you something. I don't think Leonard Hamilton even has a house yet.
A cot in his
I think
office.
he has a cot in his office.
Florida State has scored 2 touchdowns in the great expanse of 2 minutes and 44 seconds. And a little love for Reggie off his tips in traffic.
Reggie's going, where's that pick when I need it?
They need a first down now, or Florida State will hang 3 touchdowns on them in the blink of an eye.
Well, we mentioned earlier in our keys that Duke wanted to stay away from the 3 and outs. Got to be able to maintain the ball and drive a little bit against this Florida State team if you have any hopes of being successful.
Carl Franks led in this game. Tied after the first quarter. His quarterback Adam Smith has misfired on his last 4 attempts. Connects here out of the backfield to Alex Wade. Wade is well shy of the first down at the 27, and it's 3 and out for Duke. Hunting unit back on. And all that momentum they had, Keith, early, consistent play. Defense has taken some of the air out of it.
Old Mo has wandered over to the Florida State side of the field.
Look, says a lot, doesn't it? Matt Brooks punts away, and this is a work of art. Leon Washington admonished by Mickey for not catching it before. Fumbles here. Picks it back up to midfield to the 40. 32-yard line.
You see the expression on Leon's face. Yeah, that's exciting. That's fun. But he knows that that all came about just by pure coincidence and a whole lot of luck. Ball goes right through the old bread basket and then bounces right up for him. Good block downfield, and Leon just fortunate that the pumpkin came back his way.
A 35-yard return off the bounce following that 43-yard punt. Now does Ricks go for the strike or check that? Fabian Walker, night of complete platoon football. Coming entire units in and out. This will be Willie Reed. Trying to get to the edge. A dash for the end zone. To the 5-yard line, first and goal.
Now you know why Billy Sexton and this entire offensive staff, when you talk to them about young players, they'll mention Torrance Johnson. They're real high on B.J. Dean, who is out with a knee sprain. But Willie Reed is the one they just glow about. The freshman, great job right here. Watch the move on the outside. That's not coaching, Billy. I'm sorry. That's pure talent. And that's why they're so high on this kid. He's got to learn assignments, got to learn how to pass protect when he's in there as a personal protector. But once he gets the football, Paul, he knows what to do with it.
Deep in the eye. He'll get the call. And pinned back. Ryan Fowler. Hitting. There have been 6 plays in the first 2 quarters by Florida State offensively of 20 or more yards. Huge plays in this game for FSU.
Very much so. And coming out of the Iowa State ball game, as you see the possessions, one of the things the coaching staff was most disappointed with in the Iowa State game was the inability to make big plays.
Play action for Ricks. Intentional grounding. It appears the 3rd sack of the night was imminent on Chris Ricks, unless they got his face mask.
Ricks certainly got wrapped up by Micah Harris. Naked bootleg that Harris didn't fall for. The officials will confer.
Courtney Mousy and his staff here.
No foul. face mask on the defense, half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
Chris appears to be all right, and of course Tom will check him out.
Another look at it. 360 out of there, naked boot. Harris just gets a hold of the face mask and turns him completely around and then slams him into the ground. The face mask not nearly as painful as the shoulders and the back of the helmet hitting the turf. Nothing cruel or malicious about that. Again, just a bad decision by Harris to get his hands up too high.
The fullback is Torrance Washington. First down for FSU. And the pitch to Willie Reed. Man who had committed the personal foul, and Micah Harris, the sophomore defensive end, over to make the stop this time. Micah Harris was an outside linebacker, so many players, Keith, where they say you can move forward. You can go from the secondary to the linebacker up front. Micah Harris now moving from the linebacking core as a defensive end, although a little bit light for that position, about 230.
That's the only downside. He's playing that defensive end position at about 235, 240.
He digs in on second down. Spot that as a loss of 1. Inside to Washington. His second career touchdown, both here in Doak. Torrance Washington.
And that's the bad part about filling in for the starter. You scored a touchdown, but you're still on the extra point team. You don't get to get your congratulations just yet.
Stay in there for the extra point. 3 quick touchdowns by Florida State here in the second quarter, aided by Duke Ayers. Personal foul calls, mistakes, drop passes. It was Duke 3-0, 24 unanswered now by the Garnet and Gold with under 3 minutes remaining, and Torrance can come over and get those pats on the back.
Again, great line surge at the point of attack. Florida State just knocking the Devil defensive lineman off of the ball, and Torrance just gets in right behind them. What you tell your running backs is stay low, find a crease, and as you see right there, he's completely out of the frame, driving those legs, getting through that crease and getting into pay dirt.
Played at Bradenton Southeast and then ended up in nearby Madison County. And tonight the freshman, great size, taps that drive. Again, he tips it at about 235, Keith, and growing.
Yes, he is. And again, much like these rest of these young backs, Willie Reed and the rest of them having to learn assignments, the nuances of how to do things, taking that great physical ability and then making a great football player out of it.
Saviad Bethia from Tampa, Florida. Jesuit High School. Ready to boot it away to the twin tandem back there of Landrum along with Elliott. You know, you look at, say, the University of Michigan and all the problems they've had this year with their kicking games, or other schools. But Florida State's been through special teams play. You take nothing for granted. Full of appreciation for Saviad Bethia.
I think Saviad got a little angry with me saying that he may not have had a strong leg.
That landed on the Garnet stripe out of the end zone on the fly. While we have a moment, you can predict a winner of college and pro football games and win a tailgate prize pack by playing the Sunshine Network football pool on the web at sunshinenetwork.com.
Great crowd here for Parents Weekend. You see Duke's possessions here of the first half. B.J. Ward with that blocked field goal, and then they did convert one. 2 punts on 3 and out the last 2 possessions. Their starts have been inside their 20, 3 of the last 5, and inside their 10, 2 of the last 5.
Duke to Wade. This has been effective tonight. Pushed by that offensive line, who is due a great deal of credit, and hard running by the junior Alex Wade. And Wade, with an 11-yard gallop there, is 3 yards shy of the century mark tonight in the first half. Well, a 100-yard rushing game going.
That's a statistic that Mickey Andrews and company will make sure the defense is very well aware of. See, Doak Campbell has broken out into the wave.
Knowles have not surrendered a 100-yard rushing performance this year, but Wade is threatening. In the flat, one-handed grab by Landrum for a first down. Nothing would be finer for Duke than to sustain something here and put it into the end zone prior to halftime. And this is what Alex Wade has done, opening tonight for the injured Chris Douglas.
And it's been nothing fancy. It's been straight ahead football, taking that 240, 245, maybe 250-pound frame and just pounding it at Florida State. Behind that offensive line, as Tommy reported, has played every offensive snap Duke has had this year.
Close to 7 yards a whack for him. Elliott on the move. Darnell Dockett met him a yard deep. Now, is this or is this not does this tie Ron Simmons for the tackle for a lost mark?
Well, the actual official statistics will be once they grade the tape, but you see Alonzo Jackson back in there in action after getting hit by Emmanuel.
He had 1.5 tackles for a loss tonight prior to this. They break him out in fractions now, and I may give him a half on that.
Let's just say he's getting close to it.
Yeah, Womble there with first contact. A loss of 3. Wade's been their most effective offensive weapon. The way those, and it's Womble this time, the defensive tackle, the stuffer inside with his second consecutive stop.
Pigs down at the bottom. That's where he likes to be.
He's got 2 tackles tonight, does Jeff Womble. He had 5 the 2 games prior to that. It's so tough to get credit on stops when you're stuffing inside.
Not only that, he's double teamed more times than not. And it's just almost impossible to fight through a double team in order to get in the backfield.
Teammates know, though, don't they?
Coaching staff knows too.
Smacking him on the helmet, what have you. Wade here, 3rd and long, a dangerous down for him, waning moments of the first half. Well, he pulled away from center, motion along the defensive front, and now the flags are tossed. Snap the ball, says his head coach Carl Franks. It's against Duke.
Start on the offense. 5 yards.
Once the center gets once the quarterback gets under the center, he cannot back out. That's the reason for the procedure call.
A 6th penalty this evening. Flagged against Carl Franks. Just 1 for FSU. That's been a bright spot.
That'll be the one thing Coach Bowden will remind folks of as well.
Final play of the first half. Perhaps the slant, big target there at midfield, and able to fight forward as the gun sounds. And the catch made by Reggie Love. We are at halftime. A slow start. A much better second quarter for Florida State, in command at halftime. Leading visiting Duke by the count of 24-3. A pair of Chris Ricks touchdown passes. And Torrance Washington, in his first career start, has found the end zone as well from the fullback position. Bobby Bowden leading his counterpart Carl Franks and Duke, which played well early, by 3 touchdowns. Let's go down to time with the coach.
Coach, a little bit of a sluggish start in the first quarter, but you were able to open it up in the second quarter. It seems like Chris Ricks is throwing the ball pretty well.
Well, offensively, we've done everything except score when we're on the goal line. You know, we took it down there twice early and had to kick a field goal and missed a field goal. I don't think we punted the first half. Defensively, they've had a darn good scheme, and they've worked their way up and down the field and possessed the clock a lot. That scares me.
How long, given that you've got just 5 days between games, do you go with the starters here?
Well, I don't know. We'll go till we're satisfied. I can't give you a time. We'll go till we're satisfied. We've already played a lot of kids. We probably played 50 kids right now.
All right. Best of luck in the second half.
Thank you.
So Bobby Bowden off at the halftime at our halftime show, just ahead from the bright lights of Doak after this. (24-3) here with Keith Jones and Tom Block. Very busy there at halftime. I'm Paul Kennedy. Carl Franks, Duke class of '83. Of course, an assistant to Steve Spurrier on the University of Florida's 1996 national championship team. And Seminole fans less than fondly recall a trip to New Orleans that concluded the year against that brigade of Gators. Now Bobby Bowden.
That is erased from my memory
From your
banks.
memory, and perhaps from his too. So what would he have said too? The Garnet and Gold at intermission.
Got to come out with some intensity and got to make things happen. Another thing that Coach Franks is a small fraternity, member of a small fraternity. There's 17 coaches nationally, 5 of them here in the ACC, where the coach is coaching at his alma mater. Franks at Duke, and of course Chuck Amato on staff, longtime assistant to Coach Bowden. Bunning at North Carolina, Friedgen, and Al Grove, who comes back from the Jets to coach Virginia.
What a win today for Chuck Amato, former defensive coordinator here, assistant head coach. In overtime, wins on the road 51-48, maybe the game of the day.
99 points. Now, they were in overtime, but
yeah.
99 points in that ball game.
Got to be honest with you, I turned it off. They were leading, I want to say 38-14. I thought, Chuck's got this in the bag. The next thing you know, Saviat Bethia, all upset the way that Keith Jones had dissed his ability to kick off. Hands to Centerio Landrum, who breaks the tackle to the 30-yard line. It'll be spotted there. That's about a 30-yard return. And Bryant McFadden hustling on special teams. Knocked down the speedy Landrum. So a new quarterback now for Duke, too, to open the second half of play. We saw Adam Smith the first 2 quarters. Here's the sophomore in Chris Dapolito from Matawan, New Jersey.
Dapolito goes 6'3", 215, a sophomore just like Smith. They've both seen playing time in all 3 of the previous games.
Alex Wade, fake to him. Dapolito keeps the football. Dapolito to the 44-yard line. So Chris Dapolito, who originally signed with Rutgers, set out last year as a transfer, comes on now. And the sophomore with the carry here of 13 yards to open the third quarter.
Smith known more for his passing ability. Dapolito known more for his overall athleticism. You saw a good example of it right there. A fake to Wade, who had nearly 100 yards in the first half. Keeps it himself, picks up over 10.
From the 44. This time he hands it to Wade. Alex Wade nears the 100-yard rushing plateau. You know, Wade has a statement that will make offensive linemen love it. He says that running backs are the most overrated players on a football team. If you don't have the linemen up front, you're going nowhere. It sounds like it's easy to say, but offensive linemen just love to hear that.
Well, that works, but buying them dinner once a week will also help.
Or running through the gaps they help create and holding on to the football. Dapolito, Samuels. Spared him pretty good at midfield. When I see a Duke player who wears number 9, I think of the great Sonny Jurgensen, member of the Hall of Fame and a Duke alumnus, although I don't know that Sonny would run like this.
No. Sonny would rather get rid of the football than do it this way. Sonny's made quite a name for himself up in the Washington area as a little bit of a confidant to Snyder, the owner of the Washington Redskins.
Part of his shadow administration. He picked up the bounding ball and fires to Reggie Love, but that's ruled incomplete. Love at close to 6'5", presents a very large target, but he can't come up with this one here. And Dapolito, who has struggled to throw the ball in Carl's offense, and we remind you that Franks is also Duke's offensive coordinator, brings him over as the punt unit comes up.
Talk about his throwing ability. Dapolito just 8 completions and 24 attempts here on the season.
Matt Brooks on. We're told Trey McDonald injured his plant non-kicking foot. And so the backup kicker McDonald on, or rather Brooks on. And the fair catch called for by Leon Washington at the 22-yard line. It's just a kick of 30 yards. Dolphin fans, join us for Dolphins Live with Steve Goldstein and Jim Mandich. Live news, analysis, and interviews. Plus, they field your phone calls too every Thursday. That's at 6:30 The men who go by the handles of Goldie and Mad Dog.
Those guys are nuts.
The 30th.
I love them.
Well, you're not looking at the names. The 30th anniversary season of 1972, the perfect year.
I love old Goldie and Mad Dog. If you haven't seen that show, you need to watch it.
Here, a perfect first half for Chris, wouldn't you say? Here he goes. Sets up shop. The 12 and airs it out deep. Going for Anquan. So much for stopping big plays by Florida State. That's a gain of 51 on the first snap offensively here in the third quarter.
Anquan with his longest reception of the season. Previously 44 yards was his long. Chris just waits and waits and waits and then airs it out. Anquan with good separation from Timo George. Waits for the ball to come in and brings it in.
The 6th consecutive completion too by Chris Ricks. Back to the second quarter, his longest of the night. More than half the football field covered. And that's nearly intercepted. Miscommunication with Robert Morgan. And defenders all around for Duke. Fortunate that wasn't intercepted.
Chris saw something that Robert didn't see. You called that one exactly correct. Miscommunication. A lot of reads, a lot of hot reads at the line of scrimmage with Jeff Bowden's offense.
Jeff in his 2nd season as the offensive coordinator here at Florida State in his 9th year in Garnet and Gold. Chris sets up the screen. Morgan comes back. Alex Bolden came over to throw a block. Nearly ran over him. Big number 70 for Florida State.
Alex needed to turn around and catch somebody from behind. Flanker screen. Go up, come back, get some people in front of you. Watch Big Barron, number 70. He needs to turn around and pick up Orrin Thompson, number 91 there. Florida State still with positive yards.
What do you think Robert thought when he saw Barron 70 out of the corner of his eye? What are you doing here? Alex, pretty good wheels to get out there though in the flat like that.
Yeah, for 6'6", 300. Yes, sir.
Setting up third down. Bolden. And is that a catch and a fumble? The way it's ruled, it is a catch and a coughed up football. It'll belong to Duke. First turnover for Florida State. Anthony Roberts is there and Fowler as well. And Duke has its first turnover. They'll stay alive.
Get another look at it coming right at you. Just a little out route. Normally sure-handed Bolden turns around. The ball just slips right underneath him. This is a very opportunistic Duke defense.
So Florida State turned away, coughs it up. Roberts and the Blue Devils own the football. A gorgeous evening tonight, a full moon above. The final Saturday of summer next week, the 23rd of August. A couple of days.
October.
This is the first day of fall.
You said August, I said October.
It's September now.
Well, now we're
23rd of September is the first day of fall. Boy, we're on top of it tonight. First down for Duke. Alex Wade. Good stick on him. Side. Amber and Wimberley there. Florida State will go deep now in its rotation. Here to start the third quarter early.
Wimberley not even on the 3 deep, seeing some playing time.
Ryan McFadden in the secondary too, bottom of your screen, and a couple of interceptions last week against Maryland. On the slant in front of him, and Reggie's had a tough night. It's a third pass Reggie Love has been unable to corral. But again, he came in tied for the team lead in receptions through 3 games for Carl Franks, who should have beaten Northwestern for what would have been his 2nd win of the year a week ago. Led by a touchdown heading into the 4th quarter, committed 3 turnovers and lost the game on the road.
Very much in that ball game was Carl and his staff, his players, until those miscues.
3rd and 9. Landrum. That's 3 and out. And they took maybe 12 seconds off the clock in doing that. Just 180 degrees away from what Carl was able to sustain in the first quarter.
And exactly what he wanted to stay away from as he talked with Tom Block there at the beginning of the third quarter, conclusion of the half, when we called him out of the locker room. Always the teacher.
Matt Brooks, a freshman. And Leon Washington. Here come the Noles. Hung up there at midfield. Leon makes the catch at the 49. Down to the 44-yard line. And remember the bobble, the first one. Better job here by a player in his first year in the Noles. On the Duke side of the field, and Chris Ricks enjoying his best night of the year. Bobby Bowden is offensive line coach Jimmy Higgins. Looking on. Look at a clock with 10:37 remaining in the third quarter. A night in which he has rotated all three quarterbacks in the first three units. First unit, second unit, third string offense collectively. Adrian McPherson back up to Chris Ricks. Ready to settle under center. It's worked effectively, hasn't it? Big plays, a lot of energy out of the offense.
Well, and again, it keeps the kids in the ball game. That's the biggest thing you get out of it.
The Duke 44. AD. Whoa, what an arm he has. And he just misses Dalton Gardner. Would have been a 44-yard home run. Dante McCormick in coverage. One step and fired that over 50 yards.
Now we see Florida State. They're going to stick with AD, give him a little more playing time outside of the Kentucky Derby offense. Chris Ricks there cooling his heels on the sideline.
And for Ricks tonight, 244 yards passing, by the way. Represents a season high. We're just to the fourth game of the year. Duke shows blitz. Blitz they do. And Nick Maddox cannot get out of his own backfield. Down goes Nick.
Well, see, there's a difference, Paul, between your starter and your backup. Most likely, Chris Ricks would have checked out of that particular play, gone to something else that might have been a little more effective. AD with a little less leniency from the coaching staff to change things at the line of scrimmage, and Duke with an effective job of loading the box and bringing down Maddox for a loss.
That's a loss of 6. A huge loss there. Takes him back to midfield, and now third down and needing close to 16 yards.
Here they come again.
Why not? McPherson flush from the pocket. Now with speed, tripped up and by Sean Johnson as he came inside the 45-yard line. I'll tell you this, number 96 for Duke is a player, the junior from Fairport, New York.
We've called his number and name a lot. Pressure right up the middle. And right from that right-hand side, just clips AD from behind and brings him down. Florida State right here at the tail inning, and Florida State with fourth down. They'll leave the offense inside Duke territory.
And now call timeout. Unsettled, play clock winding down with about 6 seconds remaining on it. Florida State uses its first of 3 here in the second half. A pause in the action will step aside as well. 24-3. Bobby Bowden and his Noles leading at home. Florida State football on Sunshine is brought to you by Beef O'Brady's Family Sports Pub. Every neighborhood should have one. In Bobby Bowden's neighborhood, the Seminoles reign 24-3. 9:14 remains, and the Noles have had a change of heart. Chance Gwaltney on to punt for the very first time tonight. It's been but a spectator along with better than 70,000 in Doak to this point.
Hope he stayed loose.
The senior, Cairo, Georgia, ready to boot it away. Duke comes, hangs it up there, and he pinned the Blue Devils deep.
That ball hit somebody.
Did it hit a Duke Blue Devil? It did for a touchdown. Touchdown FSU. Leon Washington down covering on special teams. has just been credited with the fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Well, we thought Leon, had a chance to get one on punt return, not on punt cover.
What a buzz and what a gaffe. You can't believe it. The agony of Carl Franks. Special teams against Florida State have killed him. Last year, this year. He forces Florida State into punting. Patrick Hughes, or check that, for Duke. Lance Johnson is back. Who does it hit?
Hetzel is down there, and it goes right into the Duke player.
John Paul Kimbrough, number 15.
Kimbrough, one of the return guys back there, and he just gets in the way, hits him right on the backside. And very alertly, Washington goes for the football, and he gets credited with the touchdown. Another look as the ball comes down. It's right on the hip of Kimbrough.
What would he be doing down there? Why would he be in that position?
That's a mistake without question. You tell your return people, your personal protectors, to put their feet on the 10-yard line of your return man or your personal protector. Don't go past the 10 or don't go inside the 10.
Yeah.
Kimbrough, just the freshman out of Hendersonville, North Carolina, and it's just a freshman mistake.
See the team captain Ryan Fowler trying to console him about that. But a special teams blunder, and you recall a year ago the Noles blocked 2 punts against Duke and scored touchdowns off of them. Here suddenly it's 31-3. And no return again on Ronnie Elliott.
Saviat must be really angry with me.
Well, from the Dolphins to the Bucks, join us Mondays at 7. We'll preview the Monday night matchup taking place this coming week. St. Louis in town to take on the Bucks. The 3rd consecutive year they played on Monday Night Football. I'll be there. Raymond James Stadium. We'll go one-on-one with Shelton Quarles, the new starter in the middle. Take a look at this matchup with the Rams all Monday at 7. Adam Smith back at the helm. Following the fumble recovery for a score, and he stumbles out and he is down, and Duke suddenly looks inept.
The wheels are coming off.
Just an absence of poise, and for Carl, disbelief. Did he get stepped on here?
Normally
KJ?
that is the case. You see the center back out of there with his right foot and catches the right foot of the quarterback, and we see that happen time after time after time.
Dan Mooney was that center. He was the backup to Luke Bear, who started tonight. Smith throws, and upfield he's got his tight end Andy Rowland. For the 2nd time tonight, the big freshman tight end Kyler Hall belts him out of bounds. A 23-yard gain with a price as Adam Smith trying to hang tough.
Pressure came from Florida State right up the middle. Smith stood tall in the pocket, took that 6'5" frame and stood upright, delivered a nice strike downfield to Rowland. But as you say, it came with a price.
And training staff on, and he's back to his feet. Chris Napolito will come in this rotation as Smith is able to jog off.
Respectable numbers by Smith in terms of completion. No interceptions. As we said earlier in the first half, Adams not done anything to get Duke beat. Very steady.
And now Napolito, he has run a couple of times effectively. Landrum move. Yet to complete a pass. Still 0 for 4. One quarterback stumbles. A bounding ball goes off John Paul Kimbrough. Here's Landrum. It hits him right between the 2 and the 1. He can't make the catch. A very rattled, shaken Duke team in the 3rd quarter.
And unfortunately, this is something that does happen to a team that has experienced the type of defeats that Carl Franks' squad have. a feeling of malaise will settle very quickly on both sides of the ball, and it takes almost a Herculean effort by both the coaching staff and maybe some leaders on either side of the ball to get everyone rallied and back into it.
It's all about players. Napolito this way. Can't complete the pass. A little bit behind Powell. The other tight end. Now third down. And the worst way Duke needs a first down.
You can say one thing for Duke, excuse me, Paul, with both Powell and Rowland, there's no reason why Duke wouldn't utilize the tight end. Powell, the sophomore out of Bellevue, and Rowland, the freshman, both big targets.
Adam Smith able to return. There you go, and Reggie Love makes the catch and works his way close to the first down marker. Been a while since Reggie was able to latch onto it. That'll be his second grab of the night, first of the second half.
Do you take a chance here? It's going to be fourth down, about a yard and a half.
Well, I would think you have to here. Absolutely.
This is a feast or famine play, folks. This is the type of thing that keeps you in the ball game, or if you don't make it, potentially blows it wide open.
Well, it's pretty much blown open at the moment, wouldn't you say?
I said wide open.
Wide open. Well, there are degrees of open. Smith throws. There's Landrum, and he slips at midfield after getting the first down by a good couple of yards. Not the longest gain, but Duke loves it. Picked up 2.
Prior to that, Duke just 1 of 8 on fourth down attempts offensively.
And Mickey, venerable defensive coordinator Mickey Andrews, you know, any mistake, any slight just is not tolerated at staff.
Very much a perfectionist, but you ask any of the kids, they know where his heart is, and they know he cares about them. He just demands perfection.
6 in the box. The hard-running Alex Wade hits it up in there as we check in with Tom.
Guys, we saw Alonzo Jackson get kicked in the ribs in the first half. They went ahead and took his pads off at that point. He's now wearing a rib protector, a flak jacket, if you will. A lot of guys don't like to wear it because it restricts your movement a little bit. But once you've been dinged there, you go ahead and put that on. So it restricts his movement a little bit more. But Zoe hasn't missed any playing time as a result of that.
All right, Tom, you can see him waving those arms, and the jersey stretched a little tighter. Trying to get some push. And as you were saying earlier, Duke is more effective, Keith, when they run right at Alonzo here or right at the Seminole.
In between the tackles, straight ahead. They've got a good offensive line. Certainly wouldn't call them great, but Strongey, Lewis, Bear, Mooney in for Bear now, Wilson and Mitchell. Wade now 95 yards in the first half, added to that in here in the second, going over 100 yards. They're very good at straightforward, finding seams, finding creases. And they've been reasonably effective on the ground.
Well, the first running back this season to hang 100 on the nose. On a high snap. There's Alonzo jumping on his back. As the senior makes the stop on Wade. Alonzo Jackson. That huge play in the opener against Iowa State, the interception, and number 48 raced 48 yards.
But Eddie was very quick to point out to his son Alonzo that he was not protecting the football.
Let me say this. How big does that win now look over Seneca Wallace, who entered this weekend with more passing yards than Ken Dorsey of Miami?
Huge.
Certainly does. They beat Iowa for the 5th time. 4th down, hitting a yard. I don't know if Alex got there. I don't think so.
I think he had to get across the 40-yard line.
Travis Johnson. And that offensive line may begin to wear down, and the Nole defense. It's a rousing ovation. With 4:46 to go, the Seminole chant in the big house. The stuff up front.
The key here is get lower than your opponent. He who is lowest wins. Florida State defensively with a good job again. Their pads underneath the pads of the Duke Blue Devils.
Rotation continues at quarterback. A.D. McPherson in with a 2 tight end set. Motion along the line of scrimmage prior to the snap. Our referee Courtney Mousy.
Defense, 5 yards. Remains first down.
And for Carl's team, their 8th penalty.
Florida State relatively free of penalties here in their 4th game of the season.
Make that a 7. Exaggerate there. 2 tight end formation for FSU.
Now AD's checking off.
The sophomore from Bradenton. And the handoff to Greg Jones. Back he comes this way. Greg Jones, stiff arms at midfield to the 45-yard line. A gain of 9. Drama now in the second half to see if Greg Jones can equal the all-time Florida State record, number 6, with a 6th consecutive 100-yard effort.
Greg with 35 yards on 8 carries in the first half. As you and I were talking, 7 of those came in the first drive for Greg. Now up around the 50-yard mark, 9 rushes, 44 yards.
And with his strength, and you heard Bobby Bowden say at halftime with Tom Block, it's like a fullback body with tailback moves. Stays into block here, so I thought Crow could catch that ball on the far side of the field. Perfectly placed, it appeared, for McPherson. The man he is chasing, the incomparable Warrick Dunn, who owns just about every Florida State rushing record, 6 consecutive 100-yard games in his remarkable career. 1,242 in 1995, the single-season rushing mark. Both may be eclipsed by Florida State's junior and Greg Jones from Beaufort, South Carolina. Of course, Warrick Dunn here, last home game for FSU, being enshrined in the Seminole Hall of Fame.
Was here to see Greg. Wish him well.
PK Sam with 3 defenders on him. Stanford, the corner, yanks him down. A 16-yard completion by Adrian McPherson, his very first of the night and just his 5th completion of the year for number 5.
Every time I see PK catch the ball, I think of Kevin Knox. They're built so similarly.
Boy, that goes back, huh?
Coaching staff likes PK's work ethic. He's always studying, trying to better himself.
3 receivers, top of your screen. Trips that way. Blitz applied. McPherson scoots with that speed. Green grass. Got 5 to the 25-yard line. Former Mr. Football in the Sunshine State and Mr. Basketball, as purely an athletic performer as Florida State has seen. He'd be in a Charlie Ward class athletically and at that position.
Unfortunately, athleticism is not the only thing that counts, particularly in the quarterback position. And Adrian has had to learn the offense, get a feel for how to work the offense. Was slowed in fall camp with a bad ankle.
Tripped up, dodging, still on his feet. Physically, he looks like Snoop Minnis. If Snoop, remember Snoop and catching passes, leading the nation in receiving?
Always afraid Snoop was going to get broken too.
And obviously, too, he is committed to this his sophomore season. There will be no medical appeal for a red shirt and a sore ankle. They'll allow Fabian Walker to ascend to the backup role for Bobby Bowden. Adrian McPherson, as Bowden said at the outset of this week, is going to play out this year.
And they will play Fabian Walker as well.
They have tonight, 3-0. On 3rd down. He hangs and hits to the 18-yard line, and that should be enough for an applauding PK Sam for the first down. That was a bullet unloaded by Adrian McPherson.
Florida State, as we've talked, playing a lot of the young people. Travis Smith in there, number 84. McPherson congratulating his other Dominic Robinson there, number 83. Willie Reed, training staff for the Blue Devils, attending to DeAndre White.
DeAndre White is 17 years of age. 17 years of age, young freshman. And only his 4th college game. And to come in here and start at the age of 17, I mean, Keith, you played. Put us into some sort of perspective on DeAndre.
Well, at 17, I was a junior in high school.
And you're starting for Carl. He has been a linebacker for Carl Franks for a grand total of 10 days because Carl signed him to play in the secondary.
Moved from a defensive back position. 6 foot, 200 pounds is White. He tended to by that Duke staff over on the sideline.
Florida State 31-3 lead, as you see. Late in the 3rd quarter, McPherson floats and connects. Now incomplete to Crow. Broken up by McCormick. Deonto on Crow.
And the hometown folks from Adel, Georgia, that have come down to Doak Campbell will cheer for this one. AD lays the ball up, gets right into Crow's hands, and then Deonto gets his hand in there and rips the ball out.
Would have been McPherson's first career touchdown pass. Back of the end zone. First of this season. Out of the gun again. 1:43 remaining in the 3rd. And he threw behind PK.
Now there's a nice read by McPherson that time, Paul. A little off on his delivery, but picked up the blitz very quickly. Went to the same route we've seen Florida State score on twice in the first half, the slant route to the right-hand side of the offense, this time to the left-hand side. Great read by McPherson, just misdelivers. That's progress.
This would have been his first career touchdown pass. He threw 2 as a freshman. Did AD. Total yards tonight nearing 400, KJ. Facing 3rd down. Look at him dart. Directing traffic, and now throws behind the line of scrimmage, and he has the first of the year. Profanso Thorpe. He knew where the line of scrimmage was. AD came up upon it and unloaded to Profanso Thorpe.
So I think one of the advantages that McPherson does have over Ricks is his basketball playing days as a point guard, because you're dribbling the ball always looking down the court.
Court awareness.
Much more easy for AD to pick things up downfield.
Duke got a hand on that. It manages to tumble over the crossbar and is through. Samiyad Bethia with the extra point. The score swells. It's 38-3. Profanso Thorpe with his 2nd touchdown reception of his career. Number 1 with his 1st of the season. And here's Tom.
PK, one of the things I don't think fans are aware of, you know, in the NFL, you use the same football regardless of which team is on offense. But in college, each team can supply its own ball. Generally, you see the same ball, but the Nike ball on the bottom is Florida State's. It's called a small ball. They began using it in the 2000 season. Chris Winkie liked it. It's a little smaller, a little easier to throw. This Duke football on top, first of all, I've never seen a football with black laces. I think it's the only one like that. It's a Wilson model. It's a little bit longer and a little bit flatter, but it comes down to preference. Dee Bryant last year, the Duke quarterback, liked it, so that's why Duke uses the football. But they switch balls when it switches possessions, guys.
All righty, Tommy. I don't think I've seen black laces.
That's the first for me.
On the practice field, you get beat up footballs and the like, that swell the size of almost basketballs. It is by preference.
And I was unaware of this till earlier in the year. You can actually bring as many footballs as you want to. At one point, there was a rule. I think you could only supply 12 footballs. They had to be checked out by the officials. I think the rule is now you can bring as many as you like. They still have to be inspected by the officials. But on a wet night, you could bring 36 if you had them.
5 extra points and a field goal for Bethia. And a wonderful night kicking off. Here Landrum downs it on a knee. Samiyad Bethia may get a game ball. Remember in the days of yesteryear too, in the early days of lights, they played with white footballs, so you could see them better.
A little before my time there, Paul.
I bet it was. Absolutely bet it was. Of course, next week will be under the lights once again. Duke will be at home at Navy trying to win the 200th game, the 200th win in the history of Wallace Wade Stadium, and Florida State will be in Louisville to take on the Cardinals, who blasted Army today. John L. Smith looking to right his ship. Landrum here. You speak of footballs and quarterbacks. We'll be at the alma mater of Johnny Unitas. Our first game in that beautiful new show palace at the stadium.
Papa John Stadium.
It's a beautiful stadium. It has a bronze statue of Johnny Unitas in one end zone, of course. Left us last week. Louisville and Clemson, the other two games in this 3 games in 13 nights. 2 Thursday affairs.
In Miami, at Miami, and boy, is that Notre Dame game continuing to take on importance.
Tyrone Willingham's first year in South Bend. Nearly intercepted, breaking on the football for Florida State, Leroy Smith. And had a shot at it. Johnson, the target, slipped.
Smith, the sophomore out of Quincy, didn't have to travel too much distance to play his college ball. Quincy about 18-20 miles from Tallahassee.
Yeah, how many football players? NFL's soon-to-be all-time leading rusher, Emmitt Smith, from Pensacola, within a 100-mile, 150-mile drive of this campus. Phenomenal number of football immortals, including Charlie Ward from Thomasville, Georgia.
Florida State taking another timeout here defensively.
Carl Franks has what, 2 North Carolina natives starting for him. Florida State has as many North Carolinians in its rotation as he does. Duke, for a number of reasons, recruits on a more national basis.
They've got kids from, I think, 21 different states, does Duke, including Canada.
And New Jersey is a state unto itself, is it not? Mattawa, New Jersey. Adam Smith there from Orinda, California, same high school, Marymount, as Ken Dorsey, who we'll see in a few weeks. Battle of California quarterbacks tonight on an ideal evening for college football. We feared we might rain, and instead nothing but starry skies. 16 players from North Carolina, only 3 starting this evening. 64 from the other states in the Union, and One Nation, our friends to the north. A.D. McPherson, Tall and Gardner. New Orleans native and Gardner. How many players is Florida State walking to this campus? State, Louisiana. All-time leading rusher Warwick Dunn for 1. Back to action on 3rd down. Adam Smith buried under a sack of Tony Benford. His first of the night, 2nd of the season for the senior from Denver, Colorado. Speaking of being geographically diverse, out to the Rockies and Benford.
You know, it's amazing. Again, we talk about the 71 through 73 squads, and haven't checked, but probably only 5 or 6 states would have been represented there as Benford gets the sack, throws Duke back 8 yards. 30 years ago, you were lucky to be able to recruit 2 or 3 states away.
Matt Brooks backed up near his own goal line with the heat coming. Tumbles it out toward Leon Washington. Takes a Florida State roll, 43-yard line, and that is where it'll be blown dead. Away from the football. A.J. Nicholson for FSU laid out. Zach Novak is looking the other way. Just a 27-yard punt as we head to the 4th quarter tonight here at Doak Campbell Stadium, the home of the 5th-ranked Seminoles of Florida State. Final period just ahead. Live from Tallahassee. Florida State football on Sunshine Network from Doak Campbell Stadium. Magnificent 70,000 crowd tonight spilling over at Doak. Florida State heads to the 4th, leading ACC rival Duke 38-3. Paul Kennedy with Keith Jones and Tom Block. And through 3/4 of this ACC matchup, we'll look at the numbers here. And Florida State nearing 400 yards of total offense, to Duke's credit, close to 250.
Look at the time of possession. Duke evening that statistic up between halftime and here in the 3rd quarter. And as we've talked about, as Duke has the football, they're keeping it away from Florida State in this dangerous offense.
First down for FSU following the very short punt. Chris Ricks has been replaced by Adrian McPherson. The thinking is here that he is done for the night. McPherson has thrown 1 touchdown pass, nearly had another, had not Kenneth Stanford reached in on PK Sam and batted it away.
And again, it's the little things. That time AD tried to fire that ball in there. That allowed Stanford to get a hand on it. If he had to do it over again, Adrian would probably want to lay that ball up with a little more air and let PK run underneath it.
And all 8 different receivers, 3 separate quarterbacks for Florida State. McPherson and Ricks combined for 3 touchdown passes. Blitz is on. Here comes Crow. Crow, who caught 1 touchdown tonight, tacks his way to the 20. Crow to the 11-yard line. Profonso Thorpe. A 33-yard catch and run. That was a work of art.
And his homeboys from Lincoln High School here in Tallahassee played Valdosta High last night to a 29-29 tie. I'm sure Crow heard about that while spending the night up in Thomasville, as the team does. And great open field running. This is why they like to use him on kickoffs. They like to get the ball to him on hitches and unders so that he can run in the open field.
Lincoln is ranked, or was ranked, 2nd in the nation. Anquan Bolden got his foot down for a touchdown. Anquan Bolden from Adrian McPherson. Touchdown, Florida State.
Nicely thrown ball by AD, and a great adjustment by Anquan to work his body back to the ball, and then, as you called, to catch it and get that foot down from 11 yards out.
Tallman Gardner, his shoulder pads off, over to congratulate Anquan Bolden with his 4th touchdown reception of the year. Saviat Bethia, his 6th extra point to go with the field goal. And it's 45-3 Florida State. And we still have 14 minutes and change remaining in the 4th. Number 5 to number 4, McPherson to Anquan. Florida State well in front of Duke, 45-3. McPherson to Anquan Bolden.
3-step drop, a good job right at the tail end of Anquan to work his body back around in a 360 and then get that right foot down. Very, very nicely done.
8 out of 9 possessions, 5 touchdowns, and a field goal. Anquan Bolden. Saviat Bethia. Anquan Bolden tonight, Keith, with 7 receptions in this game, over 100 yards for the first time this year, 110 yards receiving. A couple of spectacular grabs. That was one over there. What do you think of your Deonto McCormick at the corner? In pretty well positioned, didn't you?
I'm thinking I've got good position, and I'm a freshman, and I got to do this 3 more years.
Landrum runs up on the short kick now into the wind. And breaks 2 tackles, 3 tackles, still on his feet. Nice return out across the 30 up to the 33. Johannes Buchanan on special teams for the Seminoles. Like him, he's got speed, perhaps the fastest Blue Devil in the stadium tonight. The rotation will continue. Chris Dapolito, former Rutgers Scarlet Knight, Matawan, New Jersey. Did not start tonight. Adam Smith did. His control passing attack. Dapolito was an all-New Jersey javelin thrower in his high school day.
I was a javelin catcher in high school.
Seminoles are about to spear their 3rd win. But kudos to Alex Wade. Just fights hard, competes. And now with 109 yards on the ground for the Blue Devils on 22 carries against Florida State's rugged defense.
And if you're Carl Franks and this Duke squad, you just like to give the ball to Wade as many times as you can and keep that clock rolling. Salvage as much from being in Tallahassee as is possible and get back and regroup.
One of the great ball carriers in their history and kick returners too. Chris Douglas unable to play tonight. The left ankle sprain. This was behind Landrum. McFadden in the area. That certainly would not have perhaps changed the outcome of this game, but you take away a man that produced over 300 all-purpose yards at Florida State's expense last year, number 4 in Chris Douglas. You take him away from Carl Franks returning kicks and the threats he presents to a defense, and certainly could have changed the score somewhat.
Douglas was a focus of the staff during the week, trying to get the kids' attention. Obviously, the players are well aware. Were participating last year of what Douglas was able to do. Wade with good numbers coming in. Good little tandem in the backfield there. Unfortunate that Douglas could not play tonight.
Dapolito with time. Well thrown. Corralled by Kalen Powell. 35-yard line. And out of bounds at the 25. And Bobby
went down.
Run over by Kalen Powell and looks to be all right. Hey, the coach can take a hit. It's like his days at Howard.
He took a few hits on this field. Howard played Florida State one time here in Doak Campbell Stadium.
He's laughing about it. Watch his technique here, Keith.
Well, his technique wasn't good because he didn't get out of the way. That's one where you head to the sideline and leave. And he'd be the first one to laugh about it. Fortunately, no harm, no foul.
Wade to a crease in the middle is bent back. Now, would he receive a tomahawk for that hat of his?
I don't know. I don't know. Another look right in the field judge, right into Bobby.
Well, he gave away some size to the 240-pound Kalen Powell, but he bounced right back.
He'll have a few things to say. He'll be questioning about that and have a few things to say about it.
Second winningest coach in the history of the game.
I know Bobby, it'll be something like, well, our defense wouldn't hit him. I figured I had to do something.
Dapolito. Flag in. Tough grab made out at the 3-yard line. And it's first and goal, depending on the flag, as the tight end Andy Rowland holds onto the football.
Pat Watkins, number 22, in there seeing some playing time, and Michael Boulware. Flag was thrown real early in the route.
Holding against the defense. Penalty is declined. Play is complete. First down.
That would be the guerrilla defense.
As signaled in by Mickey Pound My Chest Andrews. The intensity in a 45-3 game is as if it's 45-44 awaiting moments. Florida State trying to keep Duke, shut him out without a touchdown. Wade. It's almost cliche, but give him a lot of credit for continuing to fight Florida State. And Duke would love to hang a TD on Mickey and Joe Kine's defense here.
Now, here's an interesting little fact for you. In Tuesday's scrimmage, Florida State's defense kept the offense out on every possession. Mickey Andrews was speaking to the Tallahassee Quarterback Club Tuesday night and shared that bit of information with us. Let's see if they can replicate Tuesday's practice on Saturday evening.
Carl Franks holds it up. H-back on the far side. His fullback is Zach Novak. Play action to Wade. Dapolito rolls and throws and has a touchdown to Centerio Landrum. Chris Dapolito, with his first touchdown in a Duke uniform, finds Centerio Landrum for his first career reception for 6. And Duke earns the touchdown.
Landrum, a sophomore out of, love this town, Sweetwater, Alabama.
That takes pretty sweet here. Some consolation to salve the wounds with under 12 minutes remaining in this football game. Extra point by Brent Garber. 45-10 in Doak. Chris Dapolito to Centerio Landrum. But the hit of this game might very well be the big tight end in Kalen Powell over Florida State's all-time winningest coach. Florida State 45-10 on a night in which the defense has been commanding. The offense rotating 3 quarterbacks, playing by platoon. Bobby Bowden's Kentucky Derby system. And the old coach shows that he can still take a hit. Get back on his feet.
Well, I can't wait to hear what he has to say about that. The master of taking life's little things and making them humorous.
So at the quarterback club come Monday, that the luncheon there will be worth 15 minutes alone for Bobby Bowden at the podium. Garber. Chopped toward that corner, scooped up. Here will come Nick Maddox. Pretty good move to earn the 15-yard line. And out to the 17 as we remind you to tune in to Nextel Florida Sports News Monday night at 10. Tom Block sits down with Bobby Bowden. Maybe that'll be one of the topics there to discuss this outing tonight. And all the news around the state of Florida, the only statewide sports news program. Weeknights at 10. Tom Block, Barry Milligan, only on Sunshine Network. So for Florida State, Adrian McPherson, 2 touchdown strikes tonight to match his season total of a year ago. 80s numbers. Play action for him. To the flat. That long out. PK Sam stays in bounds after the initial hit. You're throwing the ball a good 30 yards to the sideline, and you add any kind of angle. That is a long throw, what they call the long out to the boundary.
There's never been much of a question about Adrian's arm strength. He may not be able to bench press 300 pounds, but he could sling the football.
Yeah, was he a pitcher? I know that he also played on the American Legion state championship team while he was Mr. Basketball and Mr. Football. I wonder if he threw the ball. You would think so, the way that he could fire. To look into that.
Okay, there's our fire drill for the day.
The snap count was dispersed inconsistently from tackle to tackle.
False start on the offense.
David Castillo seeing his first action of the year.
See his hand, got that left hand bandaged up. He suffered from that all year long.
In the air, and times awesome. First by Chris Ricks to Anquan Bolden, as the Noles have collected 345 yards of passing offense. Tallman Gardner, 8 receivers in all. Crow Thorpe with the touchdown grab tonight. They have spread the wealth, and they keep on firing. Here is McPherson with that point guard savvy, as KJ calls it. Fowler runs him to the sideline.
And I think it's just an unbelievable inherent advantage to kids that come up playing point guard on basketball. Their field vision, court vision as it is in basketball, field vision as it is in football, and their ability to move while still thinking and looking very much has to happen in basketball. Very difficult for quarterbacks to pick up that, you know, get a little rattled, get a little pressure.
Castillo snaps. Leon Washington, another Mr. Football. From one Mr. Football in Florida from 2 years ago to the reigning honoree from Jacksonville's Andrew Jackson High School, Leon, who scored the most improbable touchdown that perhaps Florida State will register this year. They punt the ball. It bounds off of Duke's John Paul Kimbrough at the 1-yard line, and they're covering the kick as Leon. And what a gift he had waiting for him in the end zone. A touchdown. He fell on it. And the extra point, 7 of the 45 that Florida State has scored tonight. McPherson. And Fowler. Say this for Ryan Fowler, their junior captain, number 27. He's continued the battle tonight from Seminole High School in Reddington Shores.
Fowler's continued to play well. Had a great game out of Sean Johnson, their defensive end. Those are Fowler's numbers coming into tonight. He is more than added to those totals.
Former Florida discus state champion.
There's a wealth of track and field information this season.
That's kind of the spin here in the fourth quarter tonight. We just cover all sports here. And Duke is saying the ball came free. They should have it, but it was whistled down as Leon Washington hits the tote. Sean Johnson may have knocked it free. See the linebacker Giuseppe Aguano saying it recovered it. Leon Washington in that backfield there as a senior. Rushed for over 2,400 yards a year ago at Andrew Jackson High School. He's in the flat. Ball's not going his way, but rather to PK Sam. And early you can see a glimmer that Adrian McPherson appreciates the skill of PK Sam. There's some chemistry between those two.
Every quarterback, right, wrong, or indifferent, will have a receiver or two that they especially like to throw with. We saw Gary Huff's favorite target, Barry Smith, in the early 70s. And every quarterback just kind of develops a little camaraderie and chemistry with one or possibly two receivers for whatever reason.
PK Sam has caught 6 passes tonight for 83 yards. That's got to be his career high. 6 receptions in this game. Anquan Bolden with 7 receptions for 110 yards. Greg Jones, it does not appear, will collect that 6th consecutive 100-yard rushing performance, but this has been an aerial assault tonight on the part of McPherson, Ricks, and the Seminoles. Florida State Football on Sunshine has been brought to you by Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers, and by SunTrust. How can we help you? Eight minutes, 59 seconds away from the finish line tonight at Doak Campbell Stadium. The home of 5th-ranked Florida State is putting a licking on Duke, leading 45-10. Adrian McPherson continues to run the offense full bore. On the run, he throws and unloads it incomplete. He was headed to the boundary. Really, nobody in the vicinity to catch that ball.
Jimmy Higgins was wide open.
Offensive line coach. I know his hands are somewhat questionable, although Jimmy in his playing days was a running back. Look at Odell Higgins there, the defensive line coach, along with Chris. So for Florida State, now there is Jimmy, who,
tell you what, been very quietly this offensive line, and great credit to Jimmy Higgins. Very quietly, this offensive line has continued to work and improve and become probably the most steady part of this Florida State team.
Set up the screen to the far side, and there goes, yes, PK Sam. His career night continues. For PK, his 7th reception. And Sean Johnson, the defensive end, runs him down after he gains 13 more. There's the distribution, the passing offense tonight.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That would be 9. Everybody getting happy.
And Adrian McPherson, who now departs. And it's Anquan, or rather Fabian Walker at quarterback. Walker's first completion of his career came a week ago. The inconsistencies of youth in Leon Washington.
That was, let me look downfield. Wait a minute, forgot to catch the ball.
That's happened a couple of times. Once on a punt tonight.
Jeff's going fishing.
So Fabian Walker, whose first completion at FSU came after 2.5 years of trials, politics, and legislation to get him on the playing field and a stay at a junior college. The 3rd quarterback in the rotation. And in the pocket for a while. The 3rd sack of this football game registered by Duke's defensive front.
Duke with 9 sacks coming in. They're averaging 3 a game. They'll maintain that.
Matt Zielinski will get credited with his first of the year. The 35, the junior. Next week, Navy, and a game more within the caliber of Zelensky and Duke's reasonable expectations. They'd have a shot at winning in Wallace Way. That would get them back to 2-3, Keith.
Yep.
That's why the Northwestern game was so painful. They let it get away in the fourth quarter. This is a team, will remind you, that had lost at one time 23 consecutive games. And entering tonight has dropped 25 of its last 26. Duke's upcoming schedule, if you're following the ACC and the Blue Devils, there you go.
At Navy, as we talked about, at Virginia, rather, at home. Wake Forest, an interesting team in the ACC this year. Big win today.
Yeah, they beat Purdue.
Yep. NC State always tough with aerial attack. And then Maryland, the defending ACC champs.
Xavier Bethia from 46 yards. He is second of the night. He's got plenty of foot into it. And he's drilled it through those Bill Peterson uprights. The twin standards of those goalposts. And Florida State is too shy of 50 tonight. A dozen points for Bethia tonight. So we say hello to Tom again.
PK, it is, of course, Parents Weekend, and I've got some happy parents right here with us. This is Diane and Wes Williams, of course, the parents of Brett Williams, the senior tackle for Florida State. Tell me what kind of a thrill it is to watch your son get out there and play. Not only is he one of the top linemen on this team, but in all of college football.
Well, it's real exciting for us. It's been a blast all 4 years, and we're just hoping that he continues to play well and everything goes good for the team.
You told me that you haven't missed a game that Brett's played in, but you don't fly, so that makes for some long treks. I guess the Kansas City trip's the longest one so far?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. We're hoping to have to drive further in January, hopefully go to Fiesta Bowl.
How many miles you got on that new truck now?
45. 45,000.
You were the line coach at Brett's high school. How did that work out with the father-son coaching routine when you were working with Brett as he was a prep star?
It was okay at times, but it got a little difficult when I decided to back off and let the other coach him. Kept our relationship better.
And Diane, I think what you just said, you said when Brett first came here, you used to scream, put him in, put him in. Now what do you scream?
I'm saying take him out, let the backups play.
You don't want to see any injuries. Well, he's had a great career, and it's not over yet. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, guys, back upstairs to you. Some happy parents.
Understandably, Tom, maybe the best lineman, #1 lineman offensively in all of college football. Buried is Elliott. Hustling special teams play by Sam McGrew, #44. Knock him down.
Sam will stay in there, the freshman out of Crawfordville. Wakulla High School, if I'm correct. 230-pound middle linebacker.
In his senior year at Wakulla High School, as Chris D'Appolito arrives on the scene, Sam McGrew had 150 tackles in 10 games.
10 games, not 12, not 13, 10 games.
150 tackles. From the 7, D'Appolito in his own end zone. Got to get out of there. Nearly sacked for a safety. Throws, nearly picked up. In fact, Florida State says it has the football, and it does. Intercepted by FSU's Leroy Smith. Picked it off the turf.
Now, Leroy Smith will be very, very happy with that play. Eric Powell, I believe it was, will be the most sad individual out there, even though Florida State with the turnover. Tail end of it here prior to that, looked like Powell almost had him a safety. Great reaction by Smith to get his hands underneath the ball on the deflection.
That'll be his first career INT and the 6th of the year for the Seminoles. And off to Leon. Now Leon a year ago scored 28 touchdowns in a high school season. His senior year, 2,437 rushing yards.
So let's count that.
Do that
10-game season. 20.
For Andrew Jackson. And that's Mr. Football for Leon. And just see what the coaches admire in him. You have Inconsistencies of being a freshman, but a wealth of potential.
Well, and the only way they get better is to play.
Fabian, play action. Walker, about 5 or 6. Very strong legs, lower back to drive forward. And the clock continues to run with 5.5 minutes to play. And all this offense tonight, a big thanks to Nick Gandy, who's doing what is mathematically impossible, I guess, in calculating all of this yardage simultaneously, but he's kept up with it quite nicely.
He's worn out 3 sets of batteries on the calculator. I noticed that.
Oh, Jeff Bowden, the offensive coordinator, and Bobby are going to have to talk to him the next time they try to play 3 sets of offenses, 3 quarterbacks, 8 receivers, all these running backs. Fabian Walker batted into the air. That's incomplete. Chris Powers has been keeping up, our spotter tonight here in the booth. All the players in and out tonight for both teams, and all the injuries that Florida State had coming into this one, and Duke too got beat up and banged up at Northwestern. Their lineup very unsettled till they got on the field tonight, trying to see who was good enough to go. 4th down and needing about 5 minutes remaining. Blitz on, Rucker throws right behind Travis Smith. The executive producer of Sunshine Network is Ned Tate from Orlando, Florida. Our telecast was produced by Gary Nicholas and directed by Bill Moore Jr. Our production supervisor was Tracy Salmons. Our production coordinator, Kelly Gugino. And our technical director, Mike Lacey, pushing the buttons tonight. Our thanks to all the men and women of this Sunshine Network crew who help bring you the sights and sounds of Florida State football into your homes from Tallahassee. An orchestra much like the Marching Chiefs in harmony tonight. We've enjoyed it. Duke grinding it out now. So the Blue Devils, Keith, drop what is their first Atlantic Coast Conference game of the year. This will be their 26th setback in their last 27 games. They'll stand 1-3. Florida State will have beaten Duke, and here Carl Franks, an 11th straight time. They've not lost a game to Duke since joining the ACC over a decade ago.
And Florida State has not failed to score more than 40 points in all 11 of those ball games.
It's been a pretty typical Duke Florida State game, hasn't it, when you look at the scoreboard and all that's transpired? Landrum just did get that handoff on the end around. McGrew is there. Florida State improves to 4-0, perfect on the season, and that's the bottom line for Bobby Bowden.
Just win, baby.
He is also the owner of 3 ACC wins. Halfway to his victory total of a year ago, and now must on a very short week not only play on Thursday night, but play on the road in Louisville.
Florida State will go to a modified schedule. They will actually have a short workout tomorrow.
There will be no off day, will there?
Nope.
This week.
Duke converts the first down. They'll do running drills tomorrow. They'll practice Monday and Tuesday in Tallahassee will FSU. They'll travel on Wednesday morning and do a walkthrough at Papa John. Have the game on Thursday night. They will finally take a day off on Friday. They'll practice Saturday, off on Sunday, and practice again Monday and Tuesday as they get ready for the Thursday game against Clemson.
27 years here, Bobby's never played 3 games in 13 days.
No.
Less than 3 weeks. So it's a new wrinkle for him.
But it's again a testament to him that he continues to want and actually thrive on doing the unexpected and unconventional to help the program.
D'Appolito will be sacked at the 40-yard line. Willie Jones picks up the sack. Willie Jones Jr., whose dad played for Bobby Bowden. You can tune in Sunday at 12:30 to enjoy Coach Bobby Bowden and Gene Deckerhoff their thoughts on this game and the upcoming matchup with the Louisville team out of Conference USA that has won that league each of the last 3 years. In sports, one of the great quarterbacks in America, Dave Ragone. 50 touchdowns in his career, 23 last season. Dave Ragone, home of Johnny Unitas, Louisville, Kentucky. D'Appolito on the run, threw it up there, and the catch is made at the 28-yard line by Elliott, that Alabama freshman. Louisville also has a senior free safety in Anthony Floyd, who leads all of college football in career interceptions, and Conference USA's reigning defensive player of the year in Dwayne White. And beneath the lights, you can't get a ticket in Louisville for that game. You have been saying, KJ, since the outset of the year, that is the game that you feared the most. I don't know if fear is the right word, but
was
you were
most concerned about early in the season. You know about the Miamis, you respect the Clemsons. Louisville was kind of the what-if game.
They went 11-2 last year, did the Cardinals, ranked 17th in the nation. A couple of losses this year. Their opener by Kentucky, certainly an upset. They won handily at Duke, then lost a heartbreaker on the road to Sonny Lubrick in Colorado State. A very dangerous setting, a national game next Thursday for Florida State at Louisville.
Again, we see McGrew in there, number 44, and some of the freshmen continuing to get playing time. Mickey Andrews still with a teaching mode, coaching face.
Slant route in front of, well, look who's still out there, Rufus Brown in that secondary. First unit. There's Rufus, who began wearing number 7 in that national championship game against Virginia Tech, when prior to the Sugar Bowl showdown, he impersonated Michael Vick for Florida State's scout team. Vick, of course, wore 7 at Tech. He just kept it.
Just kept it.
Had the helmet all painted up with the VT on the side, and did a great job scooting
out
around.
of El Paso, Texas.
1:26 to play. Napolito on third down. On the bounce. He had 2 receivers in the vicinity, and he's out of gas. And a tired football team in Duke tonight. In terms of the ACC picture,
One of the biggest things you see Carl Franks, they continue to work with a minute 20 left on the clock. One of the biggest things you can say for Florida State coming out of this ball game, knock on wood, Paul, is no injuries, no significant injuries. That's the bugaboo at this time of year, trying to keep everybody healthy.
playing it out on 4th down. Between his legs, he picked it up, flings it downfield into the end zone, and he's got a touchdown. Excuse me, it just landed in Johnson's arms, running free. He wasn't the intended target at all, but he makes the catch. There's a sophomore Lance. It's the very first of the season for Lance.
I was going to smile on Carl Franks.
Who are you throwing that to?
4th down, he just threw it up. I think there's something about a squirrel and an acorn involved here.
That's his first career touchdown, too. It's been a night of firsts. Ran downfield. Look what I found with 1:12 to go. Why not? 48-17. Well, Keith, if you had to pick out our Steak and Shake play of the game, who might it be?
Well, I like this play right here. Nice adjustment by Anquan Boldin. Does a 360 to bring in this McPherson pass. One of 2 touchdown receptions for Anquan on the evening. There's your Steak and Shake play of the game.
Take another look, and Anquan, if you'll note, on his left knee is wearing a brace. Coming back from ACL surgery. Nice push off, launch. No effects there to make the catch.
And he wears that brace mainly for protection. Truth be known, he probably could do without it, but just as a safety precaution, he finishes one of the most prolific nights of his career. 7 catches, 110. I gave him credit for 2 touchdowns. That was actually his only touchdown.
If they're passing out game balls, they may need to go to the other side of the field and get some of those black lace balls to have enough. You know, that Tom was showing us.
I'm hoping Tommy will, borrow one of those. I've not seen one of those. Borrow one.
On the bookcase, huh? Look very good on that bookcase there. One Thursday night game next week. A week after that, the Clemson Tigers are here.
Bowden Bowl 4.
Oh. This place will be electric. Forward to having you join us for that on Sunshine. Chopped down. Short. Fusion. Snatched on 2. Up to the 29-yard line for FSU. That looks to be Donnie Carter has a rare opportunity to handle the football.
Well, you can say
Billy
rare.
Sexton, look at Billy Sexton. Yeah, you got it. Billy Sexton about grabbed him. He'll take him for the running back core. How about that, dude?
How about a 6'4", 252-pound fullback? Actually, Donnie plays on the defensive line.
What's he saying? I could have taken it to the house.
I just saw the ball up there. I just caught it and I ran with it.
Fabian Walker to wrap things up here. Well, 1 minute and 6 seconds to go. We hope you've enjoyed it. It finishes so differently than it began. This is Travis Smith. Remember Milford Brown, an offensive lineman who exhausted his eligibility when his scholarship went away and his appeal denied by the NCAA. This young man here, after being a walk-on, was awarded that same scholarship.
And by the way, if you're a Brown fan, Milford Brown fan, he was cleared for the NFL supplemental draft, which I believe takes place next week.
Yes, it does. 3rd week of September.
And very opportunistic. If he gets the right opportunity, we may see him
this year. For special situations, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Teammates crestfallen that he couldn't play, and he made the trip to Iowa State. Who's to say that he won't start the season at the Eddie Robinson Kickoff Classic and finish it in January to Super Bowl somewhere? Stranger things have happened. Tommy's been busy on the sidelines. The marching Chiefs performing. Florida State a perfect 4-0 on the year with 3 different quarterbacks, and everybody in Garnet and Gold is smiling as this one has come to an end. The 11th consecutive win for Florida State and Bobby Bowden over the Duke Blue Devils, and for the coach, the 327th of his remarkable tenure.
And again, we go back to the fact, as you see Coach with Carl Franks, not strangers to each other, particularly with the 9 years that Carl spent at Florida. Got to be pleased if you're FSU. You get out of this one relatively unscathed. If you're Carl Franks, it's a game you knew you probably didn't have much of a chance in, but you score 17 points. That's something to build on.
3 quarterbacks, 10 receivers, and 6 separate ball carriers. Wow, what an offensive performance. And Tommy's with Bobby.
Thank you, Paul. Coach, coming into this week, Chris Ricks, in the media anyway, had been criticized a little bit. Seemed like he really responded, threw the ball crisply, and played pretty well.
I really thought we got what we needed tonight. We got all of our quarterbacks in the game, got them in under tough situations. We went ahead and put them in early in the game, and I thought Chris performed better. The only thing I was disappointed in was our goal line offense early. Now, later on, we solved it. And but again, the good things, all the quarterbacks got some good work.
What was your impressions of the way AD and Fabian in particular played? Because it was their most extensive playing time.
Well, it really was, and I was pleased with them. I was more pleased with AD. I thought AD got the better of it in it, you know. But Fabian got some good work and did some good things too.
Coach, this is kind of a unique situation. You're going to practice on Sunday. You got a hands around because you play on Thursday. How different, how tough will it be for you to get ready for Louisville now in 5 nights?
Well, it will be difficult, but it will also be difficult with them. They've got the same problem we've got. It's relative. We both got 5 days to get ready for the game. And so we will practice Sunday, but it'll be in shorts, and it'll be kind of like normally a Monday practice. But practice will be cut short this week because of the days, and of course they've got the same problem.
Finally, Coach, one of the perils of standing on the sideline is a lot of guys come your way. Are you okay from that spill you took?
That's as good as I've been hit, I think, since I was in college, you know it? But didn't hurt that much, but I got stuck pretty dang good. It's his fault.
I noticed that you made it a point to jump back up right away and let everybody know you're okay, right?
I did not want to lay there and die. Yeah.
Coach, congratulations on the win and best of luck against Louisville on Thursday night.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. It's a good win. Good job,
all righty, Anquan Boldin is here. We'll chat with him in a moment. All right, Anquan, get in here. He had 7 catches tonight. Talk about, you know, the way that things opened up a little bit in the second quarter. The first quarter, it seemed as if the team was a little flat. Then you guys just got going. It was a matter of just turning the switch on and getting a little more focused there in the second quarter.
Yeah, first couple of series, we was just trying to figure them out, trying to see what they was giving us and what they weren't giving us. But we finally realized they was going to let us pass, so I think we stepped it up a little bit in the passing game tonight.
Does that make you happy when you know going into the week or into the game anyway that the receivers are going to catch a few more balls? Nothing against Greg, but at least you guys got a chance to shine out there catching some passes?
I think it was good for the receivers and the quarterbacks, you know, to kind of gel together tonight. But, I mean, we have an unselfish receiver core. I mean, if it calls for us to block, we'll do that also.
Did you get a sense that Chris maybe seemed as sharp as he's been this year? It seemed like he was throwing some pretty crisp passes.
Yes, I think so. I think all the quarterbacks played pretty good tonight. When the second string and third string quarterbacks got in there wasn't a drop-off, so I think they did pretty good for the most part.
You guys get to play a Thursday night game now. It's kind of the college version of Monday Night Football because it'll be in the national spotlight. But, you know, how tough will it be to turn around and get ready to play again on the legs and everything in such a short week?
Probably be tough on us physically. We just have to put this game behind us, you know, tonight and get started on Louisville tomorrow because, like you said, we have a short week and we don't have too many days to prepare for them, so we got to take advantage of the days that we do have.
Well, you got about 12 hours to enjoy this win and then start thinking Louisville. Congratulations. Matched your career high in catches and a career high in yardage tonight.
Thank you.
All right, Anquan Boldin, junior receiver, part of a solid offensive attack for FSU tonight.
You got that absolutely right, Tom. And as the band plays on, hooray for the Garnet and Gold. Anquan with 7 catches, $110. PK Sam, 7 receptions and close to 100 yards as well as Florida State rolls 48-17. Your final. The big stat in this one is Florida State's a perfect 4-0, and in the Atlantic Coast Conference, 3 wins against no losses. And here's how it breaks down. Duke hung with the Noles for just over a quarter tonight, Keith, before the talent decided this issue.
And the first time Florida State over 400 yards in passing, 404 yards for Florida State, 512 total yards. If you look at all aspects of the game, I guess you come away very happy. The only thing that's disappointing is Greg didn't get his 100 yards, but I think he'll take that for a W anytime he gets the opportunity.
Yeah, for all the first 3 games, the receivers were having to wait because Greg was piling up all those yards, and Anquan Boldin saying that he was starting to get tired of collecting pancake blocks. That's all he was doing, was out there catching. 244 yards, by the way. Chris Ricks out of the 404 through the air.
And I agree with maybe the general consensus. I thought Chris looked very sharp. Certainly it's a game that's difficult to get focused on, but I think Chris came in and threw the ball very well. And then as Coach Bowden alluded to, you've got to be pleased with the play of Adrian McPherson and what little bit of time that Fabian Walker got in there. So Florida State certainly in a better position should something happen at the quarterback position injury-wise.
48-17, back to wrap it up beneath a full moon in Florida's capital city. There you go, your final tonight, 48-17. And the truth be known, I think Bobby Bowden and the entire Seminole delegation feels a lot better about going to Louisville than perhaps they did before this game began.
Well, 2 things. Number one, this is a game against Duke that you're heavily favored in. You just want to get through without anybody getting injured. Pretty much a sure bet to win. You just want to look good. But secondly, they did some good things offensively, particularly in the passing attack, that should bode well as they prepare for Louisville.
Favored by 40, they win by close to 30, 48-17, and that'll do it. 48-17, your final. Be sure to join us next Sunday for more exciting FSU action as the Noles travel to the Ville to take on Dave Ragone and the defending Conference USA champs, the Cardinals. For Keith Jones and Tom Block, Paul Kennedy saying good evening from Tallahassee.